Welcome, everybody, to this episode of OG55 Ask Us Anything. I got Slimer in the house. I got the Italiano in the house. We're taking all your questions. This is an all Ask Us Anything show. You are going to direct the conversation up next on OG55 Live. Welcome aboard, everybody, to another episode of OG55 Live. We are taking your questions. This is an Ask Us Anything show. You are going to guide the conversation all the way through. But before we do that, I want to introduce my fantastic panel. Right over here, we got Citrus George, the Italiano. He hosts a show, our Walt Disney World show here on the channel, Citrus Corner. George, welcome back, sir.
Thank you for having me. Glad to be on. To kick off this OG55 Live, and I guess really all I have to say is play ball.
Yeah, right. Batter up. All right, let's do it. And then down below, we got the one and only Slimer. Slimer, who actually now is on Twitter.
Hey,
so
there
down below, there he is, Slime Square 84. So if you're on Twitter X, make sure you give this man a nice follow. Obviously, we love Slimer. Give him all the support. Slimer, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Doing absolutely fantastic.
Good.
We got a lot of people in the chat. We got Kiki and Luca. We got Candid Camper, Bad Thought Studio. We got Lord Jonathan, Michael Eva. We got CSRS, Matthew Murr. A lot of great questions in the chat. But before we get to our live chat questions, we actually have a question from a friend of the channel, Abandoned Lizard. This was sent to me via DM. So I'm going to read this one first. It says here, okay, OG55. So here's my question for your show tonight. That I'm curious to know what you and your friends think regarding this big question. So Disney's 100th anniversary is coming to an end. And while there have been some diamonds in the rough this year, they've had Ahsoka, Guardians 3, Elemental, and Once Upon a Studio. It's been undeniably rough. And shockingly, Wish is now looking to underwhelm with a $33 million 5-day debut, despite many who believe it would overcome its odds. How do you think Disney should move forward out of this mess and fix themselves in the coming years to not let this happen again? Slimer, I'll start with you, then I'll go to George.
All right. And who is this from?
This is from Abandoned Lizard.
Abandoned Lizard. Hey, thanks very much for your question, Abandoned Lizard, and thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate being here. So they have had a rough year with regard to the movies and with regard to Disney Plus. Although, like you stated, I wouldn't say that it's all been rough. I feel like a lot of that is really just a lot of online business, and a lot of that is inside trading business too. I mean, I certainly don't feel that at the parks, and you can ask OG the same thing. He definitely doesn't feel rough here at the parks. So I would say let's be cautious about overall how bad things are, because there's definitely two sides to this coin. How can they overcome this next year? I think they have to be a little bit more selective when it comes to green lighting projects. They have to budget their films better. I think Wish had a $200 million budget, which a lot of that has to do with the fact that their animation studios is here in the United States. But they have to get their budgets under control. They have to have more limited releases in the theaters. They have to allow, this is something that me and George were talking about earlier, right before the show is they have to let the theaters have a little bit more leniency as far as how long they want to run a movie in the movie theater. Because right now they have a very hard window. They've been known for having very hard windows. And that, I think, gets them in financial trouble because they want to put their movies on Disney Plus so soon. So, they can't definitely do that with Wish. No, they definitely have to give themselves at least a 90-day breather before they put that on Disney Plus. Let the anticipation for it to come back out. So when it does come out, it yields elemental level results on the streaming service. I think Indiana Jones is going to do pretty well once it hits Disney Plus too, because it's been out of the movie theaters for so long. But I'm going to go ahead and pass the question to somebody else. Thanks for that question.
Yeah.
That's a really good one.
Yeah, no, great answer, Slimer. Yeah, I think that Here's the thing. Yeah. I mean, it's weird with holiday openings, right? Now, I'm not downplaying the 33 million. Obviously, it could have been higher, absolutely. But with holiday releases like this, you kind of throw a lot of those rules. A friend of the channel, Alia, mentioned this to me via DM today, where you kind of throw a lot of those rules out the window. The holidays are a little different animal than, like, say, like a summer release or what have you. They tend to leg out a little more, you know? So I think that with this movie, the opening weekend is kind of, it's soft, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to flop, right? This thing could leg out like Elemental. So we'll see. Now, here's the thing that's kind of killing these movies, I think. I think there is an element here where families are assuming this thing is going to be on Disney Plus in a couple of weeks or a few weeks. You know, I think Disney needs to come out and say that's not going to happen. You're going to have to wait a while for this thing to come out on Disney Plus. For kind of put the pressure on a little bit for families to go check this out. I mean, we're seeing that. I hear a lot of stuff. You know, we talked about, like, the other day we talked about, like, YouTubers and stuff. You hear a lot of this talk on YouTube about, oh, the family gave up on Disney movies. They haven't given up on Disney movies. Moana is absolutely fucking crushing with those numbers. I mean, Elemental crushed. I mean, they didn't give up on Disney movies. They're just opting to consume this stuff differently. You know, and you also remember too, you know, when everyone says but Universal, well, Universal doesn't have a successful streamer. They have Peacock. Okay, like nobody like the numbers for Peacock are so small. So when you have such a huge amount of people that have the D Plus service, it's going to impact Disney's box office more than it would a Comcast, who doesn't really have that many people in the Peacock service, right? So that's another element here. So I think the biggest issue is not so much the films or even the quality of the films. It's that Disney's kind of competing with Disney Plus. I think that's a big issue. They got to let people know, if you want to see this movie, you better see it in theaters, because you're not going to get this on D Plus in a few weeks. But what do you think, George? You saw the movie. You ended up really liking it. What do you think, brother?
I did. So kind of going off of that first part, I can't recommend this film enough. This is a great film. It pays homage to not even just the company, but Walt Disney himself. There are small little things that tie into the story that go back to Walt as being the dreamer, the philosopher, the one that says, you know, go for, you know, what you believe in, you know, wish upon that star. And that was actually Asha's dad, in a sense, where I'm not going to give too much of the thing, but his character was the inspiration of Walt Disney, where they even incorporate in the film the wishing tree. And actually, that's where Asha makes the wish and where Star appears. So there's a lot of ingrained in that film of Walt Disney without it actually saying Walt Disney. And with these numbers that are of the starting for the opening box office, I encourage people to not listen to critics. Don't go by other people's reviews online, because again, I've said this time and time again, we are creatures of habit. When we get used to something, we follow it, and we use social media like the Bible. And it's honestly, each person has to be able to use your own interpretation of what you want to see. Don't go by a Rotten Tomatoes score or what a top New York film critic says about it, or even your own family and friends. If they don't like it, that's their opinion, but still give yourself that open spot to be optimistic and kind of go in with a blank canvas, right, and you make your own assumption of how you want to see this movie. So honestly, for everyone who is thinking about seeing it or not sure to see it, I highly recommend to see that movie. So having said that, I agree with you both. I think actually Disney is in competition with themselves. They kind of shot themselves in the foot by kind of releasing their movies very quickly out of theaters onto Disney Plus, due to the fact back in 2020 they had no choice. You know, they had to do what they had to do. And again, with us being creatures of habit, we got used to that. So what did Disney do? Okay, well, the fans are demanding it. Let's do it. But it's hurting the overall box office now, because we are now going in 4 years out of 2020, and it needs to kind of go back to that regular movement in the movie theater, and it kind of all stemmed back from Encanto. You know, when I felt like Encanto would have done really well in the theater had Disney just kind of slowed the brakes down and let it ride
Mhm.
out. And I do feel like that's what's going to happen with Wish as long as Disney keeps it in theaters. And as I said to everybody out there that is either considering on seeing it or not too sure, give yourself that chance. I
Yeah.
absolutely love the film. I put it in the same category as Moana and Tangled. I don't feel like that it has the cultural phenomenon, obviously that Frozen had on
Yeah.
the impact. I don't think we're going to see that for quite some time, but it was still a very strong movie with a very deep message behind of really what the first 100 years of the Walt Disney Company is all about.
Yeah, there's a lot of narratives out there on YouTube and what have you about Disney in general. And a lot of it comes down to a lot of BS, to be quite honest with you, to be quite frank. And look, families are still on board with the Disney brand. They just feel like they've been conditioned to sort of wait for this streaming stuff. You're seeing more and more evidence of that. Disney, it's going to take some time. Alia, our friend of the channel, again, I got to bring her up, but she said it. She tweeted out today. It's a form. This whole Disney Plus thing is sort of a form of brand damage. And she's right.
Mhm.
You're gonna have to you're gonna have to repair that damage and reverse it, and get people conditioned to want to watch things in the theater again, and not be not so quick to just say, hey, I'll wait for it to go on Disney Plus. So that's something that Disney's gonna have to work out. But people are still on board with this stuff, man. Like I said, the numbers for a lot of these animated films when they hit the streamer are really, really good.
Mhm.
So we'll see. Slimer, did you have something to add to that, sir?
Yeah, George. To your point, what I wanted to add is two things actually. One, if you don't have a good sound system at home, it would probably behoove you to go see this in the movie theater because I'm pretty sure that the soundtrack would sound amazing in an actual Dolby Atmos sound system in a movie theater. And then secondly, Disney needs to go ahead and just take a playbook right out of Sony Pictures playbook, which is and if you guys have watched the Ghostbusters Frozen Empire trailers or any trailer that's out right now for a Sony picture film, they all say exclusively in theaters, and they really hit that point home, not just in the commercials for the advert, for the films, but whenever they're doing their social media campaign on Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, whatever. All the actors, everybody's told by the marketing team to put exclusively in theaters, so that way hey, go see it in theaters because you're not going to catch on a streaming service anytime soon, right? So like they put the whole going to streaming, or what is it? Why spend $20 when you can watch it in a couple of weeks on streaming? They try to drive that out of people's social, the collective consciousness completely by putting that out there. So that's all I wanted to add on that.
Yeah, no, 100%. So they're gonna have to Disney's gonna have to do some work to get people to understand that you're not just gonna get this on there right away, and I think they'll get it done. But we'll see. But look, I mean, this movie is not dead and buried yet. We don't know ultimately the final number for this weekend. We also don't know what kind of legs it's gonna have. A lot of kids are out of school and stuff like that, so we'll see. But yeah, great question, Abandoned Lizard. Appreciate that, brother. CSRS here says, if Avatar Land takes over Hollywood Land at DCA, will the Sunset Theater where PhilharMagic is be used for walking space or an attraction? See, I think if they do Avatar CSRS, if they do it in that little back area with PhilharMagic, the Muppets, the bus load area behind that, I think they're bulldozing. I don't think they're going to go in there and just just add to what they have now. I think James Cameron's going to demand a pretty ambitious land, even if it's smaller than the one in Animal Kingdom. I think that he's going to want something from the ground up. So no, I don't think that you're going to see that theater there anymore if that's where they choose to put it. But what do you think, George? You think that theater will be spared, used for walking space? You think it'll just all of it be bulldozed and they'll just build a Pandora there? Or what do you think will happen?
I mean, aside from like what it's being utilized for right now for Mickey's PhilharMagic, it's doing its job. It's a nice little theater and what have you. When it comes to something of Avatar and tying James Cameron to it, I don't think that he would want to just take a a theater that has already exist and just kind of throw in a little 4D experience. I really can't see it. So I'm met with you on that one, OG. I feel like that if they do decide to do that, they're going to bulldoze everything, layer everything out completely flat, expand it out to the bus loading area, completely wipe that out, have a complete blank slate, and then just build from the ground up, depending on like what, because we don't know what the plans are that they're gonna essentially, do, because they say hypothetically that supposedly it's supposed to be just as immersive as the one in Animal Kingdom. I don't know if we're going to get something that's a mirror to Animal Kingdom, or if it's going to be like in the same of like the Way of Water or what have you. It could be something completely different. By the time we actually start to see concept art, it might even be something inspired by the Avatar 3. It's
Right.
a very possibility. But
Yeah.
I think one way or the other, with James Cameron being on board and Avatar is his baby, that I can't foresee him just saying, "Yeah, just utilize the buildings that you have and just throw something in there."
Yeah.
I can't foresee it.
I can't either. What do you think, Slammer?
Well, I was actually going to defer this question to the expertise of the gentleman above me, but I'll say this: wherever they put it out, whether it's whether it's DCA, Disneyland, or some land adjacent, they're going to level wherever it goes. There's you're not going to see anything that stood there before. They're going to James Cameron's going to want a tabula rasa, and I think the Imagineers are going to too. I mean, it's not going to be very challenging if. Or actually, it might be more challenging if they have to get creative with spaces that already exist there. But I think everybody's going to want a clean slate.
Yeah, 100%. Well said, brother. CSRS continues with, how will the symbol lot be used for Disneyland Forward? Will it be one large land or several mini lands? And how many lands could they fit in? I think that piece of property, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's like 25 acres or 30 acres, around that. Now, Pandora, for reference, is only, I think, 12 acres. So they could technically fit like 2 Pandoras in there. It's a pretty significant piece of land. Wow. I think when you're asking CRS, will it be one large land or several mini lands? It probably won't be one large land, but I can see like 2 large lands. Like, let's just say, for example, like a Pandora and like a Galaxy's Edge or something in that space. It's clear that Disney is looking for these one IP sort of big immersive areas. We just saw Ken Potrock, Disneyland president, over there in Asia, looking at Frozen, looking at Zootopia and all that stuff. These are one IP lands, and I think that's the direction they're going to go with Disneyland Forward. That's what I think will go in that land.
Do you think that they could still essentially not necessarily copy Tokyo, because there's still in the clause in the contract that they have to wait, I believe, 10 years, but kind of utilize the same blueprints? Like, maybe what if they do something like a Fantasy Springs, where it's one type genre, but then you would have 3 separate IPs that make up that one land. Because they're doing that with Frozen, Tangled, and Neverland.
That would be smart out here in California, because we are more limited in space, and maybe you want to get a few IPs in there. That's actually a brilliant idea. Bring some version of like a Fantasy Springs or something along those lines to that space. So you utilize all the acreage with multiple IPs like that, but one encompassing overall theme, like Tokyo does with fantasy, but you have 3 IPs in there. That's a good idea, man. But that area, that symbol lot, is actually pretty significant, and if they decide to eventually bulldoze the Pixar Place Hotel, which I do believe they will, I do believe this whole Pixar retheme is to buy them maybe, a few more years, maybe another decade or something, but I don't think that hotel's in the long-term plan at all. But I do think we can see stuff like this. Ken Potrock is over there in Tokyo and Hong Kong and all that for a reason. He's looking at these big land, these big, themed expansions. I'm over there for a reason. I think they're definitely seeing what will work out here. So it could be a Fantasy Springs. It could be a Zootopia. It could be anything. Go ahead, George.
No, sorry. Ogino, you had mentioned about the Pixar Play Hotel, which I agree with you. I don't think that's going to be for long term, very much longer. Do you feel that they would demolish that hotel but build a new hotel in that same spot, or do you think they would relocate the hotel to a different area and that would leave up more room to add on to the Simba parking lot?
I'd like to see them get creative. I would like to them to bulldoze that hotel and maybe build a hotel that wraps around the entire property as almost like a berm that fits the theme of the park itself. Something kind of creative like that to really utilize all the space. But we'll see. Now, Slimer, I know you're more of a Disney World guy, but what do you think? You think that for this Disneyland Forward expansion, do you think they're going to opt for more like little mini lands or like big one IP lands? And just knowing Disney, what approach do you think they're going to go with?
Yeah, I mean, so if you think of lands in terms of generations, right? So the fantasy land that they're building over there now is the latest generation of how they conceptualize lands. Then I think that it only makes financial sense for them to try to either achieve that as an objective or go beyond what that latest generation is. Because if all they do is come up with all these, or if all the, let me rephrase it, if all they do is integrate lands as they are now in the current domestic parks, aside from Avatar and aside from Galaxy's Edge, then you're not doing the latest and the greatest thing from a creative standpoint and from a commercial and business standpoint. And so I think they are going to go for what they have over there in Fantasy Springs, like stated, or they're going to borrow from that and try to integrate something even newer and bigger that's a little further on the horizon that maybe we haven't had any glimpse or any insight into.
Yeah, exactly. Interesting. Very, very interesting. And CSRS closes with one last question. He says here, do you think Disney would ever do a catch-all land themed to Disney animation instead of just one IP like Encanto? Well, we kind of touched upon that a little bit just now, CSRS, but yeah, like a catch-all, maybe. I mean, maybe they'll do like I don't know, man, like a Disney animation land just themed to Disney animation is a little too catch-all though, in my opinion. I think you got to whittle it down a little bit. I think like a fantasy.
Yeah, I was just going to say, because that's more like fits for Fantasyland, kind of like where they have, Peter Pan, Pinocchio, Snow White, Alice in Wonderland. So you kind of already have that. I don't know.
That's true.
Really, unless you kind of take a different route where, if you do something other like, maybe like the representation of what animation stands for, like where you have a section just for the princesses, you have a section for the heroes, you have a section for the villains. You could do maybe something like that.
That's actually kind of a cool idea for like a third park, like if you do like a Disney animation third park, you can split it up like that, George. That's a good idea, brother. Like you could do like a princess kind of area. You can do like a heroes and legends area. You can do a villains land even, and you can have all the different, like you can have various characters and IP from all the different Disney animated, franchises in those particular lands. That's actually kind of a cool idea. But what do you think, Slimer, about all this, about this catch-all land for animation?
I think that's what George said it at the very beginning of his answer. He said that that's what Fantasyland was for, and I think originally Fantasyland was intended to be the catch-all land. The only problem is there's so much animation now. There's just no way they can fit it all in Fantasyland. But they try to with places like Storyboard Circus and Toontown over in California. So I mean, it's not like they're not trying. It's just it's impossible at this point. I mean, you have 100 years of animation underneath their belt. So for it to all for it to fall into one land. Nah, it's impossible at this point now. It was achievable up until about, I want to say probably like the 1980s, 1990s.
Yeah, it's a huge umbrella now at this point. I mean, you would, it'd be
what if you do a land where you showcase all the great animated films, but didn't do so very well towards, like, you have Atlantis, you have Treasure Planet, you have
the Cauldron,
Black Cauldron, like showcase the movies that a lot of people don't really tend to think about nowadays.
Yeah. Well, those are the kind of movies that I would love to see them do live action versions of, because a lot of those movies would translate very well in live action. I think Treasure Planet could be a gorgeous live action film. I think Atlantis could be cool. And then you give these films a second chance at life. You can possibly revive a dead franchise,
And what's great about that is they'll have the exposure they finally deserve too, because like Black Cauldron would be an amazing live action film, but a lot of people don't know about it because Disney has put it in the shoebox and put it in the back of the closet. So
did you guys ever watch Defunct Lands? What the Black Cauldron, they were supposed to have an attraction.
No.
definitely check
You guys
that out.
saw it?
It's a great watch. Anything of Defunct Land is phenomenal, especially with his recent his Epcot
Epcot.
one,
Yeah.
which is phenomenal. I mean, anyone who hasn't subscribed to Defunct Land, you definitely need to, because I mean he does amazing work.
Oh yeah, big shout out to him. He's fantastic, absolutely fantastic. That's a wrap. 818 says, "What would you guys like Disney to put into the expansion area for Galaxy's Edge? Personally, I would love for them to implement a version of Star Tours, maybe a spaceport of some sort."
I just have to say really quick, OG, when you said that's a wrap, I thought, damn, that is the shortest live show we have ever done.
Yeah, exactly. Not yet, not yet. We got a lot of questions in the chat. We're getting through them. No, but like I think Mandalorian is obviously a huge franchise. I would love to see a Mandalorian e-ticket in that spot. I don't know how you do it. Maybe it's a Razor Crest attraction you get in or whatever. You get little baby Yoda. I mean, a little Grogu animatronic in there. It's money in the bag, man. Like they would make mint on that, And that's what I would do, because then also that kind of opens up the timeline like permanently.
Yeah,
it's not just a walk around. It's like now the land has other areas of the Star Wars universe timeline actually physically incorporated into it. But what do you think, Slimer?
Hey, you guys know my answer on this, and that's a wrap. That's a really good question. I want to see a Jabba's Palace restaurant, man. I mean, full blown. I want to see Jabba's Palace. When you're coming up to it, I want to see it on the horizon. You walk up to it, it's bigger than you actually think. Jabba's in there. The bounty hunters are in there. They have an amazing menu. Full drink bar. You'll have all the aliens from Return of the Jedi. That's personally what I would like to see. Maybe I'm a little bit selfish just because I think that'd be an amazing experience for me, because I love food and I love drinks, and I just love that entire setting is iconic. But that would be money if they did that. But like if they opened up a ride, I don't know. I haven't given that one much thought yet.
Okay, all right. What do you think, George?
I actually have to kind of piggyback off of Slimer's. He went a little bit more in detail than I was going to do, but that pretty much just covered it for me. I would love to see a sit-down restaurant, whether it would be Jabba, whether it be something completely different. I just would love to see a sit-down restaurant. Get people into Galaxy's Edge and keep them there. That is the problem that Galaxy's Edge is having. People are going into Galaxy's Edge for Rise of the Resistance, grabbing a Ronto wrap and then blowing it. That's basically all they're doing. It's like
you're grabbing a Ronto wrap and blowing it, George?
Oh shit!
You guys, this is inappropriate, man. I'm just kidding. I know.
You know what? It didn't even. Oh shit!
Oh, so funny.
The Schwartz is strong without my friend.
Yeah, exactly.
I swear, if you didn't say anything, I swear to God, I never would have caught it.
That is hilarious.
I never would have caught it.
Oh, somebody would have commented in the comments, man. They're like, blowing it, huh?
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Okay. Let me.
Point is solid though. You got to get people in that land. You got to get that
exactly.
Stay in that land. Besides just walking the Rise of the Resistance,
Exactly. Yeah. You want to have people in that land and having them to have a full-on immersive Star Wars experience. And I think, honestly, to Slimer's point, not even just a restaurant, but a very immersive restaurant. Have details, have like a show kind of going on, have like a band playing, that would be, and which they have a band in Jabba's ship. So again, that's like full circle. So I agree with that.
So many opportunities there for live entertainment. They can have up to, I don't know what kind of live entertainment you're thinking about, but there's so many opportunities for character meet and greets there. Like you said, a really highly themed, immersive restaurant. Just it's oozing with opportunities, man. And I think that's what that land needs.
No, 100%. It's something that it really, really needs. We got to get some life in there for sure. Lord Jonathan here says, a question: could Disney's Wish begin a Disney universe? I like to see origins of fairies, mermaids, and sea witches, like Wishing Star and Wand with Staff of Magic in new film. Do you think book come from film? We all know. Hold on, it continues. Do you think book from Wish same is the Hocus Pocus films. Okay, I see. So basically, what Lord Jonathan's asking is like, do you see this as like, do you think Wish is like the jumping off point to like some sort of cinematic, like all encompassing, sort of connected universe, some Disney animation cinematic universe? George, what do you think? I mean, would you be on board with this, or do you kind of like the way it's been, where it's been each film is its own thing?
I think honestly, if Disney was to go down that route, that is where Marvel and Lucasfilm are having issues right now, is interconnecting everything, because once you do that, it's very hard to unravel that knot. And I feel like if Disney starts doing that with their animated films, then people are really going to start losing interest in it, because then you'd have to watch one to watch the next one and the one prior to that. And personally, just speaking of Wish alone, I like that film just as a standalone for what it represents and what it stands for. I wouldn't even suggest even a sequel for it, to be honest with you. I mean, if Disney does decide to do it, but that's fine. But I feel like Wish is perfect the way it is. It's a one and done for me.
The cinematic universe thing, and Marvel is seeing the issue, like you said, George, with that, is that once you start pumping out content like that, and people miss a show or they miss a movie or two, and they're not caught up, they usually opt out for the new movie because, well, we're not caught up. I got to watch the other shit first before I can see the new thing. That's the problem with cinematic universes. And you can run into that same issue with Disney animation if you really connect it all like that. I don't see them doing that, to be honest. And I think that Disney has sort of seen the cracks with the MCU and things like that. Yeah, I'd be surprised. I think Wish is a one and done. I agree with George. I think the little homages and all that they put into that, I think was a way to celebrate the 100th. I can't see them doing that going forward. What do you think, Slimer?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, man. You can run into inadvertent brand dilution, and that's exactly what's happening with the multiverse right now. In fact, it's so bad with the multiverse. Disney's heavily considering rebooting the entire series and starting the story from scratch. So I'd really hate to see that happen to Disney animation. There's no need for it to happen to Disney animation. I don't think there's a hunger for it. I don't think there's any sort of increased return on investment. So yeah, let's go and skip that. Oh, well, actually, now that I think about it, there is a multiverse where all the characters get together, and that's called Disneyland. So
there you go. Exactly. 100%. Now, Mariana Barbara says, I feel wokeness in movies skyrocketed after Trump got elected. I think movie makers and producers did it to combat Trumpism and now forego entertainment for activism. Thoughts? I think that's absolutely true, Mariana. I do believe that was a thing. I do think that the studio zone, I mentioned this yesterday in a video that George and I did, I do think they're moving away from that, though. I think that Bob Iger said in a quarterly earnings call, I think a couple of them actually, that they're trying to move more towards the middle, and they recognize parents' varying levels of comfort when it comes to content. So, here's the thing too: the content that you see today is a product of 3 and 4 years ago, and that's what a lot of people don't understand. Like when you get all these YouTubers talking about, oh, Disney, they're still making woke movies. They're not still making woke movies. These movies were created and storyboarded and everything 2 and 3 years ago at the height of all this stuff, like what Mariana was saying with Trump. I think the movies 3 and 4 years from now are going to be far less political, far less riddled with that activism. They're moving away from it, in my opinion. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think you're right though, Mariana. I do think it was a thing during that era, and I think we're going to see residual effects of that, as this content gets released. But I think moving forward, you're going to start seeing less and less of it. I think these studios want to get back to just kind of like the 4 quadrant. Everyone can kind of see it, and it's not as divisive. What do you think, George?
Yeah, I agree. I feel like, there was a time where, it was the battle between one side over the other, and, Hollywood moguls and companies and studios were trying to find ways to kind of, push back a little bit, from the one side to the next. And this is the final product that we're seeing still from that time when it was going on. And as we have mentioned many times before, it takes time to kind of wheedle that out, so to speak. So, right. The stuff that they're working on now that we won't see for like 5-6 years down the road is going to be completely different than what we are seeing now that was being made 5 or 6 years prior, if that makes sense. 100%. So yeah, I think in time, Yeah, we're already kind of starting to see, it a little bit, and I'm just going to go off it again with Wish. Wish is just a wholesome, great musical fairy tale that Disney is used to doing. It's in its wheelhouse. It didn't show any kind of one way over the other, one on the left side or the right side or what have you. It's just a movie for all. And that's really honestly what everything should be about. It should never have to be titled or made for one side of the spectrum. It should just be
And
made for everybody to watch or to go to or to experience and to enjoy.
And I wish the content creators that complain about the woke stuff inserted in this content would notice that and acknowledge that Wish doesn't have that. As fans, we have to give also credit and kudos when they do good. You can't just beat them up all day long and then never give them the kudos when they actually do the right thing. Right? I mean, you have to kind of, hey, look, they did bad with that. Call them out on that. Oh, but they did good on this. Let's acknowledge that. You can't just be negative, and just harp on that all day long. But what do you think, Slimer, in terms of the wokeness, skyrocketing during Trump, and where do you think it's at now in the future?
Yeah. Hey, listen, Mariana, I appreciate your question. That's a really good one. Thanks for tuning in. Do I think that it's due to Trump? Do I feel like it was to combat Trumpism? I don't really know, because there was a lot of DEI and ESG initiatives that were started by Vanguard and BlackRock prior to Donald Trump being in presidency. So it might have been more of a correlation as opposed to a causation effect. But I do know that Vanguard has reeled back from any sort of ESG initiative. And as you know, they're one of the two biggest shareholders for the Walt Disney Company. I do think we're at the very tail end of that entire initiative. I don't think that financially worked out for them. I think it was actually a big loss. And I think that even though they could probably back it for a little bit longer, I think that they've chosen not to. It definitely hasn't it definitely hasn't benefited the company in any kind of way with regard to any meaningful way, which is their return on investment and things like that. But I would also encourage everybody to decide for yourselves what's woke and what's not woke, and don't go by anybody on the internet. I mean, not even us, right? Like if we go to say something is woke, like determine that for yourself, because there's so many people out there that are grifters and they're trying to pull one over on you, and they're trying to get you to agree with them, and they don't want you to have an opinion. Really, they want you to listen to their opinion because they believe that only their opinion is valid. So I would say determine that for yourself. Go out and see these movies, support the actors, support the people that make these films, the creatives, because at the end of the day, if we're not supporting these movies, I mean, the kind of movies we're going to get are going to be pretty terrible, because the good movies are just going to stop being financed.
Yeah, no, well said. Yeah, you got to go into these things with an open mind. I went into Lightyear thinking, oh man, this thing is going to be super woke because of all the discourse around that movie, and the controversial part of that movie came and went like in 30 seconds, and it's like so that's why it's so important, like to Slimer's point, to see this stuff for yourself, because a lot of times a lot of this stuff is exaggerated and blown out of proportion online, like he said, for grifting reasons and things like that. So check it out, open mind. And look, if you see the movie or you see the show and it ends up sucking, but at least you can say you saw it yourself and made up your own mind instead of letting someone else make up your mind for you. It's very important.
Exactly.
Too many Ronto reps.
Yeah, too many Ronto rats. Exactly. Good guy Mike here says, thoughts on this idea in Disney's Animal Kingdom, put a Jungle Book themed Omni River ride or boat ride in Asia, where guests get to sing along with Blue and his friends. I think a Jungle Book attraction in Asia would be absolutely amazing.
I could actually say that Brayden over at Mickey Views had a reliable source that this was actually supposed to come to fruition. And they were kind of going back and forth with the Jungle Book and what have you, especially for how well it did at the box office with the live action version. And there was just a lot of people that were kind of going head to head up at the like the WDI and what have you, and the executives. And unfortunately, they were kind of pushing the Imagineers to kind of get away from the Jungle Book and lean more towards Moana. And that's why we're seeing a lot of Moana stuff, which I don't have a problem with, but it's for me, I think they're using a little bit too much Moana. I think they need to kind of spread that love around a little bit. I would have loved to have seen the Jungle Book. I love the animated film. it was the last animated film that Disney personally had his handprints on.
Right.
Unfortunately, he didn't get to see it when it was released, which was a bummer. And I absolutely loved the live action. I think out of all the live actions that Disney produced, and some are quite cringy to say the least, but I absolutely loved The Jungle Book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That live action film was absolutely phenomenal. What are your thoughts on this, Slimer?
Hey, you guys. Hey, listen, man. Who asked this question again?
This
Good
is a
guy
good guy, Mike.
Hey, yeah, good question, man. I am a firm believer that Jungle Book should have a place in the animal kingdom. To me, that is that's a complete missed opportunity. You don't even know your own products. You don't even know your own animation studio and brand if you don't have the Jungle Book integrated somewhere in Animal Kingdom. And if it was a sing along, I mean, come on, man. Like that's a no-brainer, dude. But you know, it'd be really cool if it started off as animation, and then there was this like thing that happened, and then on the other side of this thing that happened, you got transported to the live action. You
That'd
know
be
what
cool.
I mean? That'd
Like a
be
mix
really
of both.
cool. Yeah, like a mix of both while you're still singing the song. So the song stops. There's like this teleportation thing you get into. Maybe Walt Disney or Tinkerbell pops out of nowhere, makes you guys real life, and then you guys come out the other side, and it's a real life, like Jungle Cruise style sing along of the Jungle Cruise. But yeah, man, I would much prefer to have that than Moana. I think that belongs there more than Encanto. Very little IPs belong in Animal Kingdom more than the Jungle Book.
Oh, 100%.
That is very well true. I mean, we talked about like what IP can go in the place of Dino Land USA, and yeah, they keep on saying Moana, Zootopia. Now we'll move to Encanto and Indiana Jones. It's like, I mean, if they want to do Indiana Jones, that's perfectly fine. I mean, it's kind of smart in the sense because they still have the same ride vehicle and the same ride layout as Disneyland,
Yeah.
which I'm still a little bit bummed because I don't know. I just see Indiana Jones just for Disneyland. Like, I love like planning my trips knowing that ride is just over there. But, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, why couldn't they have turned Chester and Hester's Dino-Rama, use that area, that space,
Right.
for the Jungle Book?
I'm telling you. I mean, like to Slimer's point, the live action Jungle Book did really well in the box office. Obviously, this is a solid IP. You know, people, even modern audiences, are really into this franchise. Utilize it, Disney. You know, I mean, it might be a home run for you over there. So that's interesting. Good guy Mike, again, with a great, well, maybe not a question, just an idea. Says here, another idea I have is to put the Winchester Mystery House ride in the Hollywood section of DCA. The ride can be similar in style to that of Mystic Manor. Yeah, that's a no-brainer. Good guy, Mike. I completely agree with you. You put that Winchester Mystery House, utilize the Mystic Manor technology and all that. You could put it in Hollywood Land. You can even put it like, I don't know. I wouldn't even be mad if you bulldoze like the Paradise Garden Grill area and put it over there. You know, the Garden Grill and Goofy Sky School and all that, and you build something in there. I'd be fine with it over there as well.
But OG, how we would ever keep up with our Goofy Sky School challenge?
That's true. Ix that idea. No, exactly. But yeah, no, that's a cool idea. I mean, I dig it. You guys, I know, Slimer, you're not really as familiar with DCA, but I mean, would that be like a Mystic Manor style attraction? Would you be on board with something like that, you think?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of good, even if it's not an exact duplicate, it's got a good enough foundation where you can turn it into something new and fresh. Yeah, I think Mystic Manor's, if they decide to roll with that as some kind of a blueprint, I'm sure they can make something really worthwhile there.
Yeah, 100%. And our friend T.S. Wade here says, are you sure that Wish will have good legs at the box office? I heard it's struggling. Okay, so T.S. Wade, friend of the channel. Yeah, no, here's the thing, Wade, right? The opening weekend is soft. Okay, we're not going to sugarcoat that. Like the 33 million that it's projected to make this weekend is not as good as it should be, to be quite honest with you. It's a better movie than what's being reflected at the box office. But that doesn't, this weekend, though, has nothing to do with the legs. Absolutely nothing to do with the legs. The opening weekend is separated from that. The legs you're going to see next weekend. Okay, so going into this next week and into next weekend, that's when we're going to determine if this thing has legs or not. So, and I think it will. I really do. I think the holiday season is a different animal than say 2 or 3 months ago. So I think people are I think this is going to be like a slow burn, similar to Elemental. Again, I could be wrong, but you got to also be careful, T.S. Wade, of listening to people that have an agenda, that are like rooting for Disney to fail and things like that. You know, there's a lot of spin out there and stuff like that. So just, keep an eye out for that, Wade. But no, the opening weekend has nothing to do with the legs. Nobody knows what the legs are going to be yet. So anyone telling you that the legs are predetermined is absolutely nonsense. It got an A- cinema score. It's doing pretty good. The audience score at Rotten Tomatoes is like 80-something%, pretty good. I mean, the critic score is low, but Mario had a low critic score. It didn't hurt Mario, so I think it will be fine. But what are your thoughts on that, George?
Yeah, I mean, as I said before, I strongly, highly recommend to go see it. I saw it yesterday. I thought it was a phenomenal movie. I thought it was. I kind of take it as kind of like a love letter to Disney Animation, a love letter to the Walt Disney Company, a love letter to Walt Disney himself, and I have seen a couple comments in the chat about the songs that actually Rogue Attraction brought it up, and someone else brought it up too prior. I don't know as far as how other people are viewing it. I've heard obviously the soundtrack. I absolutely love the songs. I thought they kind of fit the storyline well. But as I said, it's to one's own. But I definitely strongly suggest that whether maybe you like the story but you don't like the songs, or you like the songs over the story, or you might like it all. But I definitely say just give it a chance. Just and honestly, I would strongly suggest not even waiting for Disney Plus. Go see it in theaters. Let's show this movie some love. I know a lot of people are thinking, you hop on the negative train to nowhere, so to speak, and it's like just. I think us as a society, us as humans, us as the Disney fan community, we have to get out of this rut of just thinking that everything that Disney is doing is woke or has an agenda, or it's for this, it's for that. Just take that out. Have a complete blank mindset and just, I'm going to go balls to the wall. Shut the hell up and go see the movie.
Well, George really liked it. I was really surprised how much you liked it, George.
I really liked it. And honestly, I'm going to go balls to the wall again. And I'm going to say, honestly, I would go see it again in theaters. I would.
Wow.
It was actually a movie that I would go see again in theaters. And I was tempted even yesterday to just turn right back around, buy a ticket, and go right back into Theater 5.
That's crazy. What do you think, Slimer? You think this thing will have legs, despite the kind of like the soft opening weekend, or not so much?
Well, T.S. Wade, good question. I think the second weekend is really determined what kind of legs this has, and then the third weekend following. So, if the second weekend, so this weekend upcoming, has a 60% or higher drop, then that's going to be more than the Disney company wants for this movie. Then they'll probably be looking at another 50 to 60% drop from the second weekend to the third. In that case, it's not going to be good for Wish. But if this movie comes in under 60% on the second weekend or less, then there's a chance for this movie to have some legs. But unfortunately, nobody has a crystal ball, so we really don't know. But right now, being the holiday season, it has the best chance to have some legs and go the distance, seeing that this is the only animated movie that's out right now, and that the only other one coming out is Ducks by Illumination Studios, which is probably not going to have nearly as much luck. I mean, if this movie's not getting traction, then Ducks certainly isn't going to get traction, so I can't really see it taking away ticket sales away from Wish.
So you mean Migration, correct?
Migration. I'm sorry.
No, I just wanted to make sure that was the one you were referring to.
We're using
AK the film studio that took my idea.
Yeah, George wrote a similar idea. He wrote a whole story about it, and very similar to Migration. It's pretty funny.
So if there's a movie that you guys don't want to go see in theaters, skip that one.
That's funny.
I'm just kidding. But in all seriousness, though, also too, if this film hypothetically, unfortunately, doesn't do well at the box office, still give the movie a chance. It doesn't mean it's not a good film. There are plenty of movies out there that have tanked at the box office that essentially became a cult classic. The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Right.
didn't do so well in the opening back in 1993. And look at it. This thing gained legs 30 years
I
down the
know.
pipeline.
Well, even recent Encanto did not do well at the box office, and now it's a huge property for Disney. So
And
you just
Elemental.
never know. Elemental as well, exactly. So have an open mind. Again, if you go in and you see it and you hate it, that's all good too. But at least go in and try.
Yeah.
You never know. Michael Ebba here said,
make your own assumption.
right, exactly. Michael Ebba here says, OG, I'd love to hear you guys talk about a different style of annual pass for the parks. Instead of a tiered-based system, you would have passes that you can customize, a new branch off pass add-ons. This is an interesting idea. This idea was kind of tossed around a little bit before the Magic Key, that you were going to have like various items that you can sort of like pick and choose, and then you create your own pass. And so each item would have a price point, and then when you go and check out, all those price points are added up, and that's the price of your pass. That's an interesting idea, and I'd actually be down for that. You could, to customize. I think that'd be kind of cool. What are your thoughts on that, Slimer? Of kind of this like this buffet style kind of annual pass where there's various maybe benefits, and you pick the ones you want, you leave the ones you don't want, and then on the other end comes like your own custom annual pass.
All right, so Michael, thanks for the question. Thanks for tuning in. What's funny about this, and you guys, Michael, I'm pretty sure you know this as well, but if you went to Disneyland prior to the 1980s, you used to have a ticketing system based off of A, B, C, D, E level rides. So you would pay to get in, and then you'd customize your experience based off of what attractions you wanted to ride. So this is a lot like that. What's old, what's old is new again. Yeah, I guess that could work. Maybe like, let's say you don't like going to the Magic Kingdom, you just want to go to Hollywood Studios. If they had like an annual pass just for Hollywood Studios, and it was prorated based off of that, yeah, I'd be down for that.
Yeah, 100%. What do you think?
And Slimer, we're talking about Disney, so you got to kind of like do the full thing. A tale as old as time is new again. So.
Yeah, exactly. And George, one of the benefits of this like kind of like this buffet style annual passes will be Ronto wrap. You want to add Ronto wraps?
I was just going to say that, OG. It's like if you want to customize, you want to add Ronto wraps, you go do that. You want to add in Casey Corner, whatever swings your bat.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, but yeah, I'm actually all for that. I would love to. That way, depending on, because each person is different, they experience the parks in many different ways. There's things that you like or that you prefer that maybe are different from mine, or that may be different from Slimer or what have you, and for anyone who goes out there. So it's like, why not have a specific annual pass customized to your liking? And Disney kind of touched upon it with Genie Plus, sort of, it's like where you kind of customize your day, and it's like, well, we suggest this to you, we suggest that to you. Well, what if you kind of do that on a much grander scale and use that with the annual pass? Because then that also put yourself in your own tier category of how much you really want to spend at the parks. I think it's genius, to be honest.
No, I do too. I think that's a great idea. I think that's absolutely a great idea. Michael, with another great comment here, says, as much as I enjoy the behind the attractions series, I'd love to see a different approach. As a nerdy nerd who loves Disney attractions, showed. It's interesting. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that series, to be honest with you, Michael. I liked the Imagineering story a whole lot more. That was much serious, more deep divey. A lot of the stuff in behind the attraction, if you're like we are, and if you're watching the show, you're like we are. You're in this like neck deep in this Disney stuff, right? A lot of that stuff you're not going to be you're not going to learn much, I don't think, from behind the attraction. For the most part, you're going to know most of it. The Imagineering story was like that series had the fucking tea, bro. That it got into some pretty controversial stuff, even really criticized like some of this Eisner era stuff. It was pretty good, So yeah, it's a normie show for sure. Absolutely. What do you think, Slimer? Did you ever watch this behind the attraction series? What do you think?
I've watched both seasons, and Michael, if you want to watch stuff that dives deeper into the attractions, man, just come onto YouTube. There's so many YouTube channels that go way deeper into detail about the Imagineering, the creative process of the lands, of individual rides. I mean, you have full blown historians and documentarians that cover this probably better than the Disney Channel does. Check out Poseidon Entertainment. Check out Offhand Disney. Check out Defunct Land. There's also Expedition Theme Park. There's so many of them out there. They're going to give you all the juicy details that you're craving that you might not be getting on a streaming service.
No, 100%. Like that Defunct Land, that his new video, his new doc of Epcot. Amazing stuff. Yeah. Like that's the kind of stuff like you definitely want to check out. Yeah, Behind the Attraction is definitely like for normies, and totally it's pretty surface level Disney stuff. What do you think, George? Did you watch some of this? Right?
I watched both seasons. Okay, so here's the thing with me.
Okay,
I actually enjoy these because it's on a normie level, because there's so much knowledge that I already know about these. So it's like I don't
you feel like a big shit is what you're saying, George.
Basically, yeah. Basically. So it's like sometimes it's just nice to just kind of kick back and kind of watch Disney sort of kind of make fun of themselves in a sarcastic way, because I'm a very sarcastic person. So that's the kind of take on that I get from these. Like, I don't expect to put these on and like learn, like as you said, OG, like the Imagineering story did it perfectly. If there's another season I would love to watch, it would be the Imagineering story, because it would be absolutely perfect, especially because it'd be diving into what the company is facing now with all the ups and the downs and the challenges.
Which is exactly why they won't do it.
Exactly. Unfortunately. But they'll wait a while. Like they can so that way the whole thing isn't just about 2020 and beyond, They'll wait maybe a decade or so.
Yeah.
But I liked it. It's not that I absolutely love it, but I do. Yeah. I like them. They're okay.
One of the reasons that I like watching the Walt Disney produced stuff is because they have all that great footage from the vault that none of these YouTube content creators can ever get a hand up, man. There's like, if you watched what is it, Christmas with Walt Disney, it's really big right now. It's one of the movies that they're showcasing because of the holidays. I mean, so much footage from of Walt and his daughter Diane. I mean, it's just you're not going to get on any YouTube service. So that very reason alone, that's why I like watching the normie stuff, is because you have all that behind the scene footage, and anytime it surfaces, it's like, it's like you're 8 and 9, you're watching, what is it, Wonderful World of Disney, right? Is that what it's called, The Wonderful World of Disney? Yeah, I just remember watching that as a kid, man. It was like watching, America's Uncle come on TV and tell you what the world is going to be like. Like when you were a kid, that's who you got your news from. There's Uncle Walt.
Right. No, exactly. The Walt stuff was fantastic. I still love watching the Walt stuff. So good. Yep. Michael Ebba here continues. What's your guys' thoughts on Disney getting back into video games? I know we have Kingdom Hearts, but I miss the days when Capcom teamed up with Disney to make Magical Quest games, Lion King, etc. I had, and I'm going to date myself here, but I used to love
date it, brother, because I'm going to date it right with you.
There we go. Let's date ourselves. I used to love the NES DuckTales game. Where you're Scrooge and you use your cane, you hop on. Hey, you're oldies out there. You guys remember that, I'm sure. But yeah, I mean, Disney used to make some pretty cool games, or they used to license out their IP to Capcom, and they made cool games. Whatever. I don't know. I'd be up for it. This has been kind of a topic lately. I think that it was Kevin Meyer, actually, if I'm not mistaken, who said that Disney. That's the only thing that Disney hasn't really went all in on was gaming. So maybe they will. What do you think, George? Should they or should they not?
I mean, I think if it's done right, I think Disney is kind of doing it. So with Kingdom Hearts, they're just not expanding out the universe beyond the video games. Plus, they're taking like forever and a day to make each game. Because I mean, I'm a huge fan of Kingdom Hearts. I've played them from the very beginning. And then again with you, OG, I'm dating myself back. I used to play on the Super Nintendo, the Lion King, the Jungle Book.
The Aladdin game on Genesis?
The Aladdin. Oh my God. Yeah. That Cave of Wonders level was a pain in the ass, man. But I loved it. It was, and then there was even some Super Nintendo video games that showcased Mickey and Minnie. Like it was like it's like a 2-player, one player is Mickey, the other's Minnie. They go on like a,
I think that's the
through
one
the circus. Well, that one's the Magical Quest. I do know that one, but there was another one I used to play a lot. It was like I forget the name of it. Battle Through the Circus or what have you, where they actually go through like the big top and everything, and they have to battle Pete and his minions and everything. And
funny.
it was it was corny, it was quirky, but you know, back in the 90s,
90s.
the 80s and 90s, it worked. And I definitely played DuckTales. DuckTales was
that was a banger, dude. Everything DuckTales did was a banger. What do you think, Slimer? Video games. What do you think?
All right, so hear me out. Unlockable characters on Mortal Kombat.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine, dude?
Can you imagine Goofy with a fatality move?
Just like ripping out like Bell's heart or something. Boom, 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 boom. You know?
Yeah. Or if someone is like taking out Goofy, then like after you're finishing, you go, Yahoo-wee!
Yeah, exactly. I think I actually got a drop for that, brother. Yeah, here we go. There we go. Now it's official. Now it's official. Now our friends over here at the Bad Thoughts Studio, we love Candy Camper and Tones. They are friends of the channel. This is a good one. This is a good one. They always bring the good questions, right? This is fantastic. Who is cuter, Tones or Candy Camper? George, I'll start with you.
Geez, thanks, bro. Okay. Oh gosh. I honestly can't say. Honestly, they're both great guys. They both have their own style, their own distinguished look. You know, so I can, and I know Tones is. I could hear Tones in my head right now saying, "Don't be a bitch. Just say who it is and be done with it." I could just hear Tones. But I'm sorry, Tones. That's my answer. I think you both of you are great. You know, and we love having you on the channel.
Well, they're both great, George. But who's cuter though? You didn't answer the question. I'm just putting you on the spot, man.
Thanks, OG. Thanks.
I'm just putting you on the spot. No, we love Tones and Candy Camper. They're phenomenal. Friends of the family. You definitely have to check them out on YouTube. Their Bad Thoughts channel and their Bad Thoughts Studio channel. They do really great stuff. But I don't know, Slimer, you have any insight on this?
Man, that's like the unstoppable force meets the immovable object.
Right, exactly. How do you answer that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, how do you answer that? You don't know.
It's just too hard. It's just too hard. Matthew Moore here says...
No. Hold on, OG. You're not skating by this.
Oh, yeah. All right, here we go. You know what? I'm going to give a definitive... I'm going Tones. I'm going to go Tones. I'll go Tones. Yeah. I'm going to go Tones. Oh, Candy Camper, though, is a very, very, very close second, but I'm going to go Tones. There you go. See, I made a decision. All right, here we go. Mr. Matthew Murr. But in all seriousness, both are great guys. We love both of those gentlemen. Matthew Murr here says, what do you think of the reboot of Fraggle Rock? I personally think it failed to live up to the hype, and it also wasn't tailored too well to international audiences. Unfortunately, Matthew, I never saw the...
I didn't even know that there was a reboot.
Didn't the original Fraggle Rock only last one season?
No, actually, the original Fraggle Rock lasted several seasons, which I was a huge fan of. I thought it was more than one. I could be wrong. I thought it was several, but we might have to change off of that because if I start singing the theme song, it's all over.
It's over. No, I used to watch the show as a kid. I used to love that show, and we'll watch Fraggle Rock. I would watch Under the Umbrella Tree on Disney Channel. I used to love that show. Again,
Marty just confirmed 5 seasons.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Marty.
That's actually pretty solid, man. Fraggle Rock was killing.
Yeah.
5 seasons? It's crazy. Kiki Luca, friend of the channel, says, says, hi, Dusty Sage, who actually, I love Dusty Sage. Dusty is actually friends with my sister, and he's always been great to my sister. So if you're good to my sister, you're a friend of OG's. So Dusty Sage here says, Kiki Luca here says, Dusty Sage suggested Avatar Experience may go to Hollywoodland or Hollywood Backlot with the 3 large sound stages it has. What do you think? It depends. We talked about that a little bit, Kiki and Luca, earlier. I don't really want them to just throw something into these sound stages. If they're going to do Avatar and bulldoze it and build, even if it's a smaller version of Pandora, get the rock work in there, the water features in there, the trees and the life. I mean, I just don't want to see something crammed into a sound stage. I'm sorry, you know? This isn't Universal. Hey, I had to.
Yes.
George, what do you think?
Yes.
What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. We kind of touched upon this earlier. I'm not one that is uh for just kind of cramming stuff into a soundstage just for the sake of saying, okay, we have an Avatar experience. Now, speaking of that, I actually had a conversation with OG over the phone I think it was a couple days ago, that on Disney Plus they have the segments like the makings of Avatar:
Right.
The Way of Water. And there was a segment where James Cameron was talking about, while he was filming with the actors in the sound stages and what have you, about, he mentioned the black box type of filming, and he didn't mention anything of the parks, but it just kind of got that into my mindset of thinking, because they're talking about an experience, and I swear that train. But could they essentially create like a black box type of building where they use the technology that they do for the films and create immersive experiences where you could change out the scenes for different seasons, for different times of the day? I mean, if they do decide to do that, I mean, that's a possibility. I wanted to get OG's take on it, for which I'm okay with it. I'd rather have like an actual
Land.
Yeah. And OG was with me on that. But what do you actually think, Slimer? What's your take
What's your
if they
thoughts
were
on
to
that?
do like a black box experience with Avatar?
In a black box, if you're not familiar, it's kind of like this like interchangeable, easily changed out kind of experience where they can literally change it out. Like for if the new movie comes out, they can change the scenes out to reflect the new movie. So it would be a lot of projections and things like that.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of that, to be honest with you. Just based off of what you guys told me, I would have to see it to be convinced more.
Yeah.
Just off, just at the outset, it doesn't sound like anything that I would be interested in. And the other reason I wouldn't be interested in it, Kiki, is what makes Pandora is the big reveal into the land.
Exactly.
So without that big reveal, you're really losing the essence of what it is to walk into the actual land itself.
No, you're well said, Slimer. I've been saying the same thing. It's like if you don't have the rocks and the aesthetics, it's not really the Avatar. It's not an Avatar experience.
Yeah.
It's like bringing Cars Land over to Walt Disney World and having Radiator Springs just in some building. It's like that doesn't work. You gotta give us the rocks and everything.
Yep, you gotta have the big reveal.
Yeah, you got to. Camper here says, "Hey George, how much sriracha does it take?" Now, for those of you at home that aren't familiar with that, that's not a that's a R-rated question.
I'll just say this. One little dab goes a long way.
There you go. Exactly. Michael Ebba here says, regarding Villains Land, how exactly should it be implemented?
There we go, Michael. Now you're good. Now you're talking my language.
Here we go. We have some Fantasyland rides that have the villains in them, and Halloween. What would the villains be in their land? See, I think, Michael Ebba, if I was to do Villains Land, if I was an Imagineer in charge of this project, I would make a twisted Fantasyland. I would basically use Wizarding World as sort of like the inspiration, that kind of dark, kind of like very...
Oh, that's a good idea.
It's magical, but it's very dark and sort of, it's scary, but it's not like overwhelmingly scary. That Wizarding World vibe is perfect. And that's the way I would go with it. You can have Maleficent have a big presence in that land. You can have Chernobog have a big presence in that land. Things like that. That's the way I would go. How would you approach a Villains Land, Slimer?
I haven't given it much thought. I can tell you that whenever I try to conceptualize what the attractions would be like, my brain does run into a fuzzy kind of an experience, because I think that original villain rides is probably going to be the biggest challenge in and of itself when it comes to a villain land. However, if you use the idea that you just stated, where you take Fantasyland, but then you do the upside down version, where when you ride Peter Pan, it's really not called Peter Pan, it's really called Hook, and Hook's the hero, or or like let's say in Beauty and the Beast, instead of it being the Beauty and the Beast castle sitting on the rocks in the distance, maybe it's Chernabog, or the whale, devours Pinocchio and Geppetto. That'd be cool. What else are you going to do? George, you've probably given this more thought than anybody, but I seem
Yes.
to, like I say, I seem to run into a little bit of problems when I try to visualize the villain.
This concept literally has traveled with me and I kid you not, for almost 18 years. Since the time I went down to Walt Disney World in 2006, 2007, around the time. My initial concept was to kind of have something scary, but nothing where it would kind of pull away from, allowing everybody to experience it. And I thought, utilize that as the story plot to this. That when during the castle stage show for Dream Along with Mickey that actually happened back in 2006, 2007, when Maleficent came out and they kind of sort of defeated her. And she said, one day the kingdom will stop believing and all will be lost. Remember, you haven't seen the last of me. That kind of circulated into my mind as, well, what if there was a part of the kingdom that stopped believing and the villains took over that part of the land? And in order to gain more power, they need the guests. So how to entice the guests to come into the land is you disguise the land as this amusement enterprise, so to speak. So you want to draw people in. So as you draw them in, the more powerful they become. So you kind of disguise, obviously, the characters and their sections into rides and what have you. For instance, for the Lion King, so you'd have the Elephant Graveyard. So you would have a type of kind of roller coaster, but the tracks would look like bone. And so then you would have like go in and out of the elephant skull, so to speak, and I think that would be kind of cool. Then you could have like a type of immersive restaurant, maybe in the Queen's castle of Snow White, where essentially you can watch it transition from it being an elegant type of castle and it transitions to this dark dungeonous type of place, as how the Queen transitions herself from being elegant to the old crone. And as a centerpiece, you could have the magic mirror where he kind of interacts with the guests and what have you. And then, of course, my main thing would be, as what you guys touched upon, having Chernabog, having Bald Mountain. That would be the centerpiece. You'd have Bald Mountain, and at the top, you would have this gigantic audio animatronic of Chernabog. Right. And every so often, you would hear the music playing, and that's where, his wings would open. And then you would have that animatronic, and a lot of people would then say, well, what if it rains? Well, the wings, the outer part of the wings, could be the cover shield. So when he kind of closes up, and if it rains, then the actual animatronic itself is not getting damaged.
Well, and that would be Disney's answer to like the Gringotts dragon, essentially, right? Like Universal has that huge dragon out there in Diagon Alley. That could be kind of a cool little answer to that. So that's interesting. Very, very interesting idea.
And then like with Hades, you have the underworld. Maybe kind of have like a water ride, because essentially, even though it's not really water down there, but it has that representation of water, where when at the end where Hades looks like he's getting flushed down into the pit and everything. So you could kind of have like play on that and have the water kind of like a fluorescent green type of thing. Like there's so many possibilities. That's what I would do.
There's a lot you can do. And if Disney had the balls, they can do a horned king from the Black Cauldron, something with him. There's a lot you can do with it, but we'll see. They've been circling that wagon for a long time. Villain's Land.
Yeah.
Been a thing
but Michael,
for a while.
Great question.
Yeah, and if you want to get the rest of this, go ahead and buy the book.
Exactly. There we go. And then Candy Camper here says, OG, what are your thoughts on Good Burger 2? Yeah, I saw the first one when I was a kid. It was cool. It was funny. I'd be more excited if they were rebooting all that. I don't know if you guys remember all that.
Yes.
I used to love that show. That was like Nickelodeon's version of like the MMC or Mickey Mouse Club. It was like the variety show with music and singing, and
it was the kid version of SNL, is what I always called it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
I'd be more into that. I don't know. This is the thing. I don't know if this is gonna do well or not. You know, this is going for like the 40+ crowd at this point. Like, really?
Yeah.
You know, nostalgic of this franchise. It's
The one thing I will say though, I'm glad to see Keenan and Kel back together doing a project. That I will say, because the two of them together, you know, they were remarkable on TV screens when they did all that together. When they did the Keenan and Kel show, which actually all that was filmed done in Universal Studios Orlando. Which is so unfortunate that the whole Nickelodeon Studios area is just a desolate wasteland right now. That's a oh gosh, don't even get me started on that.
I'm pretty sure Kel's just happened to be working again.
Yeah, no, exactly. I was trying to find. He had a show on like syndicated TV. It was man, it was like some hip hop dance show, like maybe like 10 or 12 years ago. I forgot the name of it. I can't find it on here, but yeah, he hasn't been working though for a long time, you know. So I'm sure he's probably like excited to get something out there, you know. Keenan has been much more successful. He was on SNL and all that, so yeah. It's interesting. But a friend of the channel, family of the channel, we got Alia Aloha here. She says, Alia says here, do you think Jennifer Lee will be demoted if Wish does not rebound this holiday season, or regardless of theatrical performance, they'll wait to see how it performs on Disney Plus? Well, that's interesting.
I don't think so. I really honestly don't think so, because she's working on Frozen 3 and 4. And I think with this being a two-parter, because they said this story is supposed to be huge, I don't think that they're going to allow Wish to kind of get in their way of that, because they know what kind of money Frozen brings in. And I feel like, I hate to kind of say it in this manner, they'll probably, if they did have that mindset, they would wait till Frozen 3 and 4 is completed.
Probably.
See what
now,
it's like moving forward.
Like if Frozen 3 comes out and that doesn't perform, like if Frozen 3 has this kind of opening weekend, she's done, dude. Like there's no way. Like Frozen, you need that there's high expectations with that one. Yeah. This one, I think she'll probably skate by. It's tough to say though, you know.
I'll say this: if Kathleen Kennedy could skate by for how many chances she had, I think Jennifer Lee is kind of safe right now.
Plus, I do believe it will perform very well on Disney Plus. Like lately, their animated movies have gone to Disney Plus and have absolutely crushed. I don't see why Wish would be any different. Yeah. So it will even if it disappoints in the box office, I do think it will do a significant showing on Disney Plus, which is the problem in and of itself, because families wait now for Disney Plus and they're not going to the theater, which creates a whole big mess that we talked about earlier. But what do you think, Slimer? You think she'll get demoted if this thing doesn't perform?
No, their marketing department will take the fall as usual.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, marketing, they didn't market it right.
Yeah, the marketing department's a scapegoat for any movie that fails at the box office. I mean, this has been happening since forever.
If they really wanted to market it well, it's like, go pay to see Wish in theaters, and then you can walk out with a free trip to Walt Disney World. That's how
there you go.
Wow.
There you go. Well, you're right, Slimer. Every movie that doesn't do well, like John Carter and this one and that, it's the marketing. Man. Yeah, Disney didn't know how to market it. That's why it didn't do well. It's like, you know what, Frozen, I don't know if people remember, Disney really didn't market that movie that much. I didn't think they had that much faith in that movie. They were really caught off guard with how well that movie did. So that movie kind of proved that, like, even with subpar marketing, if you have a product that people like, it's gonna do well, you know. So this whole blaming the marketing thing, if it's a really good product, word of mouth will do the marketing for you. So I agree with you, Slimer. I don't really buy into that whole thing either. Kiki and Luca here says honestly, they need to make movies that focus on quality rather than pushing diversity and inclusivity. You know, it's interesting. I mean, I think you can have a little bit of both. I mean, like, I think you can make a movie that's maybe diverse, but is also quality. Like, you know, I'm not against the diversity. You know, like if they want to make a movie about like a Korean king or something, like I'm down for that. Like if you have a story to tell, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? But for me, it's more about like the marketing of those diversity films that kind of turn me off. Or it's like, that's all they talk about. Oh, it's the first Korean movie.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the first woman this and that. It's like, you don't need to say that. Just make a good product.
Right.
If it happens to be a female driven thing, if it happens to be Asian or Latino, that's fun, but you don't need to like say it.
That's what I was actually going to say, and I'm going to actually use my heritage as an example so I don't get canceled. That's like if I was like to make a movie based off of an Italian character, you know, it's like, okay, just let it be a good movie and the character happens to be Italian, and let the great story and the great character arc do the work. If you have to constantly showcase and I say, oh yeah, by the way, I'm Italian, look at me, I'm Italian, it's like, then you're not confident in your product, that you have to kind of push it in people's faces to say, oh, well, you have to go see it because I'm an Italian. And it's like, you have to go see it because it's an Italian character, and it's an Italian making an Italian character for an Italian movie. It's like, just
do it.
Just do it.
Yeah, just do it. You don't need to say it. It's like me saying, I have the first Italian on my show, George, my very first Italian. It's like, why would you say that? It's so weird. Just have the guy on, you know? It's like, or make the movie and tell a great story, and you're fine. You don't need to market it as that. It just feels kind of, I don't know. It's, you know, what do you think, Slimer? Where do you stand with this, brother?
All right, so Kiki, again, thanks for the good question. I don't think that quality, diversity, inclusivity are mutually exclusive. And how we know this is because if you're a good storyteller, you can put all three of them into your film and make it seem seamless, as if you're not talking about any one thing specifically, because the story is so good. The story, you know, the character arcs are so good that, you know, has a very clear and a robust act 1, 2, 3, right? Take Peter Son's Elemental, for example. That movie's about, that movie's really about his Korean immigration family. He borrowed heavily from his parents. His parents owned, was it shops in Bronx or Queens, wherever, New York, somewhere in New York City. And he used that as direct inspiration for the film Elemental. And he borrowed a lot of real world examples of what it was to be discriminated against, from the Italians, the Jews, the Greeks, the Puerto Ricans, right? All the people that have already migrated to New York over the last, 100 years. And they took he took that and he put it into a story, which was palatable. It was family friendly. It was good. You still understood what the message was without, incorporating all the disgusting elements of racism, and it worked. And that movie was quality, and it pushed diversity, and it had inclusivity. And I wouldn't say it pushed it, right? It talked about why diversity and inclusivity was important, but it did it in a way that wasn't preachy. And that's because 100%. Because the producer and the director they're such good storytellers. They didn't have to rely on any sort of like finger wagging to get the message across.
Well said. That's exactly it. It's all about execution. Diversity and inclusivity is a good thing, but you can have that with a quality product, and they're not like Slimer said, it's not a this or a that or either or, and you can have both, and they should have both, and they should market it a little differently, and instead of, the way they do sometimes. Again, great question. Thank you so much, Kiki and Luca. Bad Thoughts Podcast says here, George, this is for you, George. George, is it true that you shaved your beard? Now, this is a tough one. Is it true that you shaved your beard because you can't get the sriracha out of your beard? Is that true, George? I wish I had the Jeopardy jingle. If it wasn't copyrighted, I would have had it.
Well,
George is going to text you that answer.
Let me just say, the more hair you have, the more residuals can be left. So honestly, it's best to kind of just clean it up, and it's just don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, George gets a little piece of the Ronto wrap on there sometimes.
That's it.
Yeah. Great question, Bad Thoughts. Great question. That's so on brand for you guys too. I love it. Absolutely love it. RY here says it's going to be on Disney Plus in 3 weeks. Probably. This is a wish. Nope. I don't think so.
No.
I don't think they're going to do that. That would completely kneecap it. This movie isn't doing that bad where they're going to completely nah.
You can't
but it's not.
And you can't just rely on just saying what the opening weekend is going to do because you don't know what it's going to propel afterwards. You can't just say, okay, it bombed on the first weekend. Okay, now we have to release it in the next few weeks. That wouldn't be a good look on Disney.
No, no. I don't think it's performing bad enough for that to occur. You would have to have a absolute apocalyptic opening weekend for that to occur, and we're not seeing that. It's soft, but it's not a disaster. And we don't know the legs yet. We'll see. So Lord Jonathan here says Disney should pull back on TV networks. It's interesting. I mean, that whole linear TV thing, and I know Alia, if she's still in the chat, she might want to add to this. It's kind of dying on the vine a little bit. They're having to reimagine this stuff. I know they're kind of pushing the ESPN on the streaming services and stuff now. What are your thoughts on this, Slimer? Should they pull back on some of this TV network stuff or maybe ride it out? How do you feel about it?
I don't think they're getting rid of any linear networks. I think they're going to reconfigure them for for the next decade. But based off that last quarterly earning, ESPN was a revenue generator for them. ABC, even though their revenue year over year has gone down, it still makes them money. No, I think they'll just retool the linear networks. Maybe they'll go into some partnerships. Maybe they'll sell off some shares, split the maybe they'll split the risk with somebody that might be interested in getting into ESPN or ABC or the networks under ABC. But no, I don't think they're going to be getting rid of linear anytime soon.
Especially ESPN. ESPN is not going nowhere. They're not even going to touch ESPN.
Disney will die with ESPN.
Yeah, well, and now they're doubling down on ESPN with the betting and all that. So they seem to have a faith in that.
Everything else. I think I agree with Slimer. I think that they'll just kind of rework it in time. They may sell off partials of it, like things that are like not necessarily needed or what have you. But I think if they do decide to do that, as I said, they could probably sell off every little bit of it, but ESPN is not going anywhere.
Yeah, and Kiki and Luca continues here. I want a cool name like Slimer.
I mean, Kiki and Luca is a pretty cool name. That's just as cool as Slimer. Yeah, cooler, so.
Because it's the mystery. Because when you guys write in, we don't know who is Kiki and who's Luca. So it's like you guys got the mystery name.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of Slimer, he's now on Twitter. He's now on X. You can find him here at SlimeSquare84. Follow this man on Twitter. He's awesome. Awesome.
Thank you, guys.
And then let me see here. I lost my spot. Oh, here we go. Okay, so for this, there we go. Okay, Alia again follows up with, I think normies initially thought Elemental was on D+ or was going to be there shortly. And when they realized it wasn't, then they started to go to the theaters. Same thing here. Yeah, that might be the same situation.
And Elemental, they did not promote that movie at all. I'm not even going to say they didn't promote it at all. Like,
that one you can definitely blame on marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I don't know why either. I did, like I said before, I was prepping for a Story Geeks with Jay, and when you do a Story Geeks with Jay, you best come prepared. I'm just telling you, got to do. So I was
you got to do your homework.
You got to do your homework. You got to do your homework.
I think what I heard, and somebody in the comments, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they diverted marketing to Buzz Lightyear.
Oh,
because wasn't that like a simultaneous release? Weren't they released pretty close to each other? And then
Elemental was released. Oh, give me a minute. Elemental, I think, was released after Lightyear. I don't know if it was around the same time though. But I think you're right. I think for some reason that Disney was heavily thinking that Lightyear was going to pull in Elemental's weight. Right. And I think it ended up becoming vice versa. And I think if Disney would have thought about that Elemental would have done even stronger than what it, because it's even the merch. Like, what really is there out there with anything of Elemental?
Right.
No, and the character designs are beautiful. I love the character designs. I love the world building. It's an adorable movie and a great message too. And like Slimer said, it doesn't like beat you over the head with it. It's an immigration story. It's a story about two very different cultures coming together and these people falling in love. but it's like it's done in such a great organic way. I just fell in love with that movie. It was really great storytelling, really great. Kaylee's in the house. Okay, Kaylee is in the house. Kaylee is here. It says here, what could you see them adding to a Tomorrowland over like a new Tomorrowland?
A bulldozer.
Yeah. that's
Tonka toys. Is that what you're saying, George?
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. I don't know, Kaylee. It's tough, it's tough because like I was hoping that like they would have like Avatar like kind of straddle Tomorrowland and Fantasyland, and that'd be kind of cool. But see, here's the thing with Tomorrowland at Disneyland, at least. The attractions aren't really the problem. You got Space Mountain, you got Star Tours.
It's the aesthetics. It's the
aesthetics. Yeah, it's the aesthetics of the land that's a bigger issue than the actual attractions. The actual attractions are still pretty popular.
And that's where I have to say Walt Disney World kind of has the one up over Disneyland with Tomorrowland.
Kaylee, if I were an Imagineer, if I were in charge of Disneyland right now, I would turn it into the 1967 Tomorrowland overlay.
Yes.
Boom.
Clean,
right there.
white. Yeah,
right there.
Everything. Bring in the NASA logo from the 60s.
This is what frustrates me. Now, Slimer, you just literally said that in one sentence, and it took like what 2.5 seconds, and it takes these Imagineers and these top executives that they have to literally block out a 5-hour day in their busy, hectic schedule just to not even think of that.
Well, it's really not rocket science. I think what happens here. This is, I think, what's going on here with Imagineering, because a lot of people will talk shit about the current crop of Imagineers. Oh, they're too young, they're too this or too that. Look, this group of Imagineers has produced some really great stuff overseas with Zootopia, Frozen. That Mickey Minnie Runaway Railway is also fantastic. When given the proper, I think, resources, I think they can do very well. I think the issue with Imagineering is that the ideas are there.
Yeah.
I think that Burbank gets involved as well. They say,
and they won't sign off the checks.
Well, and I think also Burbank gets involved and say, well, you know what? I don't know. Maybe we should do Moana instead, because that's getting the views on Disney Plus, right? That kind of thing. Like, let's shoehorn that in because that's the big thing.
And that's why we didn't get the Jungle Book at Animal Kingdom.
Right. I know. Yep. And it doesn't make any sense though, because live action Jungle Book crushed. I think that movie made $1 billion worldwide, if I'm not mistaken.
Damn near $1 billion, like 900 and change.
I think it was nine. If I correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was like 963 and odd. Chunk change. Just chunk change.
Yeah. Come on, Disney. It's like, geez, it's just crazy. It's crazy. But Kaylee here comes with another banger question. It says here, what is your fave and least fave Pixar movie? George, you are our Pixar aficionado here. Go ahead. And,
I'm the Pixar aficionado to the Italiano. It's like forget about it. Okay. My favorite Pixar film would have to be probably Ratatouille.
Okay.
I love that movie. I think it's so unique, it's so different, and it's a storyline that you would think putting a rat in a kitchen that wants to learn how to cook. It's like there was backlash on that film before it even came out. People thought, who in the world is going to want to see this? But it did phenomenal. It was a critical success. It was an audience success. I just absolutely love that movie. WALL-E is pretty close. WALL-E is like a strong second for me. Kiki and Luca, you read my Ratatouille and WALL-E. My least favorite Pixar.
Cars 2.
I would have to say, I would have to say, as much as cringy as Cars 2 is, Cars 2 actually was my least favorite Pixar up until I seen Lightyear. I did not care for Lightyear. Just more so that I felt like they could have done so much more for that, and it just kind of dropped the ball for me. It just I felt like the movie would have been better if it had nothing to do with Buzz Lightyear, because it felt like, and we touched upon this with Story Geeks with Jay, that I felt like the the backup characters had a more interesting plot than actually Buzz himself. And then it's like Zurg turned it out to be Buzz from the past that went into the future, that it was a greedy Buzz. And it's like, then it kind of ties back to the Toy Story 2, where Zurg was supposed to be Buzz's father. And it's like, then it doesn't make any sense. Like it does. And this was supposed to be a movie that Andy watched that influenced him to love the action figure of Buzz Lightyear. I'm sorry, if I got that videotape and I watched it, I'd be burning that action figure.
It wasn't.
Yeah. So my favorite is Ratatouille. Wall-E is a very close second, and Lightyear, unfortunately, is my least favorite.
My favorite, I'm gonna go Ratatouille. I love that concept. I think it was a weird concept that was brilliantly executed. And then my least favorite is Turning Red. Actually, I like the character designs, but I don't like. It was a little. The problem with Turning Red, it was a little too loud and kind of obnoxious for me. I just didn't. I don't know. There's something about that film that just was like too in your face and too. I didn't care for it at all. So that would be my least favorite, Turning Red, and my favorite would be Ratatouille.
Okay, really quick, OG, before we move to Slimer. Okay, so for me, in my mind, the top 4 worst Pixar films, which is Lightyear, Turning Red, The Good Dinosaur, and Cars 2. If you could put them in the order, just those 4, from least worst to worst.
I actually like Good Dino though. I thought that was a cute movie.
Okay, so that would be your least worst then.
Yeah, no, I actually Good Dino. Look, Good Dino for me wasn't like a masterpiece by any means. It was a cute little movie though. It was a cute little fun movie. I don't know. I kind of dug it.
So you kind of dug it.
Not a lot of people like that movie though. I mean, you're not alone with that opinion, George. Not at all.
Yeah. Okay, so Turning Red, Lightyear, and Cars 2.
Well, I mean, if you don't like Good Dino, you can keep it on your list. But yeah, for me,
no, for you. So I mean, like, what would be? That's what I'm saying. So like, your worst, that would be your 3.
Yeah. Oh, my worst 3 would be it would be Turning Red, Cars 2. Oh, what's another one that was bad? Probably Lightyear. It was kind of a dystopian. Yeah, it was a little dystopian. What about you, Slimer? What are you feeling? Favorite and least favorite Pixar movie?
So my favorite is probably Coco, and then my least favorite is got to be Luca.
Oh crap! I forgot about Coco. Jesus God! Bad Italiano. God.
Yeah, so it's Coco.
Coco okay. Ratatouille, like I feel like those 2 are interchangeable.
Shit.
Wall-E might be interchangeable with those as well, but I really didn't care too much for Luca. I haven't seen Turning Red. I haven't seen a lot of Pixar movies actually, but from the ones.
Wait. Let me get this straight. You're saying to 2 Italians that you didn't like Luca.
It wasn't a best effort film, man. I just feel like they didn't put their best foot forward with that one. I mean, there were some elements of it that I did like, but
oh man, I could kick myself.
Personal, guys.
No, I know. I'm playing with you.
No, we're just fucking with you.
I could kick myself though, because Coco actually is my. I can't believe
that was your favorite.
That was my favorite. How the hell did I go and do that? Okay, so Coco, Ratatouille, Wall-E, Up. Those are like my top 4.
Yeah. That's pretty fair.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kaylee here follows up with, what do you think of a Toontown themed hotel located at the end of the park with the character meal and just themed to the overall classic cartoon along with Toontown architecture? That would be okay. Kaylee, as a kid, I was like a preteen, I think, when Toontown opened, and I wanted to live in Mickey's house. Full disclosure, like as a kid, like I would have loved to live in Mickey's house. If they do a hotel like that, like to that level of quality, where you're staying in these rooms that are like that kind of like that really curved like design work and stuff, that would be really, really sick. Also, another thing that you can add into that hotel is the idea that George and I have had for years, which is add the Ink and Paint Club.
Yes.
The Ink and Paint Club, a Toontown bar would be amazing. But what do you think about this, Slimer? A Toontown themed hotel? Would you maybe stay there? Would that interest you or?
Yeah, I would stay there over a lot of the Valley resorts here in Walt Disney World, for example. I mean, what's a hotel they could transform that's an existing hotel they can transform that into is the Art of Animation. I mean, the Art of Animation they call it a Valley Resort, but I think this. I was looking at hotel prices.
That's not a value. I actually was just talking to a person today on it. That is not a value resort.
It was like $500 plus per night, and you're only getting Valley amenities. I mean, it's not anywhere near Caribbean Beach Resort in terms of amenities, but they're going to charge you contemporary resort prices. I mean, if I'm going to pay that much, then you got to give me more than something that's the equivalent to Pop Century, for $500 a night. So I would take that hotel, I'd transform it into that. I think that's a really good idea.
That's a really good idea, because essentially, even when you look at Art of Animation, you kind of still already get that with All-Star Movies. It's sort of kind of like, I mean, there's different films that they use, but essentially it's the same thing. So it's like, if you're going to utilize animation, go back to the roots of Toontown with the Fab Five and have it kind of that would way to go, Slimer. Kudos.
Yeah, absolutely. Kiki Luca here says, well, all these questions, and at this pace, it'll be a 3-hour show. Yeah, here's the thing, though. These gentlemen are actually 3 hours ahead of us here in California. So we're not going to go, I'm not going to let it go past the 2-hour mark, because these gentlemen, I don't want it to get too late. So unfortunately, we're probably
I'm already half lit, OG. You're good to go.
I got a little something over here too. So, and this we are not sponsored, by the way, by Stella Ortiz, but we do enjoy their beverages. Absolutely.
Yes. OG, if you want to go over 2 hours, I'm fine with that.
Okay. All right. Okay. Just private message me if it's starting to get a little too late for you gentlemen. Just let me know. Because it's only 7:30 here, but we're pushing like 10:30.
Well, just wait till you see me out of the screen. Then that means I collapsed.
Yeah, right. George, are you okay, George? Oh yeah. Oh, I forgot ASMR, guys. There we go. Okay, let's move on. Leo CH here says, if Avatar or any other IP land that not related to California coming to DCA, do you think DCA should change its name at that point? And if so, what name would you want? Mine is Disney's Realms of Story. Okay, here's the thing. This is the thing. Okay, Avatar is a weird IP to add to DCA. Now, here's the thing, though. Before I kind of give my opinion on Avatar, DCA has not given up on the California theme. A lot of fans will say that, but it really hasn't. Cars Land is it's rooted in Route 66 and car culture. That's very California. Just because it's based on a movie doesn't mean that's not California. That's a very car culture, and Route 66, very California. Pixar Pier. Just because it's Pixar doesn't mean that a seaside pier is not California. It's still California. Buena Vista Street, it's Los Angeles. It's not exactly Los Angeles, but it's supposed to be a version of Los Angeles that Walt saw when he came to LA. Hollywoodland, obviously California. I mean, even things like Avengers Campus, I know this is kind of a stretch, but if you actually if you Google the Google campus in Northern California, it's very much inspired by that Google campus, down to the tile work.
That's really being on brand there, OG.
You gotta Google the Google campus, okay? But Avengers Campus is very much inspired by the tech campuses of Silicon Valley. There's loose connections here. Obviously, I'm not saying it's like, oh my God, so California, but they're trying. Pandora, I have to really I don't know if I can really do that. That's a little too much of a stretch for me. So maybe they would have to rename the park. I don't know. It also depends. If it's an offshoot of Hollywoodland, maybe it'll work. You have Universal Studios Hollywood, which has a lot of backstage, behind the scenes stuff. You turn the corner and you got a full blown Wizarding World. I mean, that doesn't make any more sense than being in Hollywoodland, turn the corner and have Pandora. So if it works for Universal, maybe it'll work for Disney. DCA, I don't know.
Maybe they just kind of
in that sense, being in a studio would make sense.
In a studio,
exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if they were to, kind of take the California portion out of it, I wonder if Disney would just drop the California and just call it, Disney's Adventure Park.
They could. It
I mean, I personally don't like it. I would still rather them keep the California notion to it. That's what makes that park so distinct and unique, and that's what kind of has me scratching my head as to why, of all places, they would put Pandora. There's so many different IP that they can utilize, and we're just speaking of Coco, I still do not know why yet they have not incorporated Coco into DCA.
That's an IP that's perfect with the Latin culture. That's so important, so vital to the fabric of California. And you don't have a Coco Land. And that could be the New Orleans Square of California Adventure with these little, like a little cute Mexican village. You can have like the little stands serving like food, like tacos, things like that. The music, the live music, the mariachis. It would be perfect for this park. But they're like, nope, we're doing Pandora. See, that's what's weird to me. And that's where I think that the sharp pencil boys in Burbank get involved. Because like, oh, well, we need something for DCA. Pandora's a good franchise, so let's shoehorn it in. It's like, it's not a creative decision. It's, well, Pandora's a good franchise. DCA needs something, so Pandora in DCA. It's like,
exactly.
And don't put it beyond these guys to do it too, because they absolutely did it with Tron. Tron does not fit in to Tomorrowland, Walt Disney World. It is not fit. You go over there. It's funny because you go over there, you're just like, wow, this looks great. And then you look to the right, and there's 1971 Space Mountain and all of its 90-degree angle wonder. You're just like, what the heck?
I think Tron with this bubbly like canopy thing, right?
Yeah, it's great.
Before you move on, OG, I just have to say, Michael says the humans that invade Pandora come from Earth who live in California. That's how it would tie in to the thing.
Go.
And then really quick, and Kiki and Luca say Pandora makes money and can sell merch. Coco not so much. I kind of have to respectfully disagree on that, Kiki and Luca, because I feel like if you're putting it in an aspect where you're kind of giving the notion to fans, hey, we got new merch for it. It's sort of kind of like what they did with the San Francisco Into the Wharf. You know, I think a lot of people didn't really think that would work, but I mean, it's a phenomenal success. I kind of feel like that's where it would be with Coco. It wouldn't necessarily be like huge, like over the top merch, but I feel like that if they were to do something similar, kind of, you know, mix in with like a dark boat ride. And then you kind of have, like, as OG mentioned, like a little Mexican village, and you have music playing, you know, you have like different kind of like the Mexican type cuisine and what have you. And then you have some of the merch mixed with it. I think it would do very well.
Oh, absolutely. No, 100%. Bad Thought Studio here says, when will Disneyland get an Oliver and Company ride? And you know, actually it's going to open on February 31st. You know, no, we're never getting Oliver and Company. Yeah. It's a cute movie, but that's a movie that's very dated. You watch that movie, it's like so 80s. It's not even funny. I don't see it ever getting an attraction.
Yeah.
It's a cute movie, but it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Matthew Moore here says, another spicy question. Oh, Matthew's coming with the spice.
Oh, gosh.
Here he comes. How do you guys tend to handle the shill accusations? Okay, here's the thing with with anyone that okay, this is the thing with the word shill, okay? People that just, oh God, here we go with the spicy.
Here we go. Yep, here we go.
This is how Matthew gets me in trouble. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, there are people out there, okay, that
just be careful, OG.
Yeah, I know, but there are people out there that will just hate on everything Disney, right? They're anti-Disney. It's Big Mouth's bad all day long. Okay, so if you say, "Oh man, I saw a Wish, I liked it," oh, you're a shill. It's like you can't like anything. Like there are certain people that like any kind of support for the Disney company or like a product or an attraction or this or that, you're a shill, right? I don't take any of that shit seriously, Matthew. I really don't care what other people want to label me. I have my opinions. I stand by them. If you think I'm a shill, that's fine. I don't really care. You know, we criticize this company all the time on this channel. I don't need to prove myself to anybody. So go ahead, call me a shill. Call me whatever you want to call me. I'm going to keep doing me.
I'm the same way. If you're going to call me a shill, just call me one damn good, handsome, good-looking Italiano motherfucker shill. That's all I say.
There you go. What about you, Slimer? If someone calls you a shill,
Matthew, this is news to me, man. I did not know that there were any accusatory remarks against Orange gooo55 being shills. So this is news to me. I'm finding out for the first time. I could tell you, I mean, I sent you a bank account statement of all the freaking money I've spent at Disney World and how much money they've given me in return. It's jack shit. All right. They haven't given me jack shit, so I don't
I'll tell
know.
you.
Whatever. I don't care, man. It rolls off the shoulders. People can say whatever the hell they
Yeah.
want. Opinions
exactly.
are like assholes. Everybody has one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I've learned not even just through the Disney community, but just through life in general. And I know a lot of people don't have, thick skin or a strong backbone for that stuff, and you do, each to one's their own. But I mean, just speaking of me personally, it's people's cruel words, are not worth my time. A person's cruel words doesn't formulate of who I am as a person. That's their opinion. That's their thought value. And it's like, if that's how they want to be, then let them do that. And if they have nothing else going on in their day than to call a person a shill, then they need to look back on themselves and get a new hobby.
Yeah. No, and full disclosure, the only thing I show for is Blackpink. There we go. Okay. Marty Snyder here says, "What's up, boys? Hope everyone had a fantastic Thanksgiving." I did. How was your Thanksgiving, George?
It was great. It was very chill. I can't do like those big like holiday like party things. Like not unless I'm like going out like with like if I'm going to Disney or like with friends or family. But like having like a huge get together and everything, like cooking and everything. I love how it was just me, my mom, and her boyfriend. It was very chill. We went to go see Wish. We came back, had a nice meal, went into a little bit of a food coma. OG and I did a recording later on in the day. I got to talk to him for a little bit, got to talk to our mutual friend Mindy for a little bit. It was just a nice chill out day. So it was great. Thank you, Marty, for asking. I hope you and your family had a great Thanksgiving as well.
Absolutely. Slimer, how was your Thanksgiving, brother?
Oh, it was great, man. Marty, hey, what's up, man? Good to see you. I hope you had a nice Thanksgiving as well with the family there. I see you got a little, kid there. Is that a daughter or son? Is that a daughter?
Son.
Son. They have a son,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Okay. Sorry, the picture's like this big. So I can't... yeah. But it was great. We decided not to cook anything this year, and it was fantastic. We went out to eat Mexican, and man, I wish I had been doing that a lot sooner.
I hear you, man. Like that's the lay of the land now with the holidays. It's like let someone else do it for a change.
It really is, man. So we had some Mexican, came back after the food coma, watched some TV, and just relaxed for the rest of the day. But Marty, I appreciate it. Thank you, brother.
Yeah, Marty. Yeah. I had a good Thanksgiving. I spent it with the family, real small kind of thing. Had some turkey, the usual stuff, right? It was fun. It was a lot of fun. I recorded a video before dinner with George. Overall, really good day. Had the day off today too, which is always nice. So yeah, not too shabby. Thank you, brother. Theme Park Casual is in the house.
What's up, man?
Casual.
We gotta play his drop, dude. Here we go.
I don't know. Fly casual.
There we go. You gotta fly casual when you're with casual. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
So casual here says, have you seen The Christmas with Walt Disney on Disney Plus? Well, Slimer, you have, right? You guys watched that.
Yeah, we watched it this morning. It's great. If you guys have Disney Plus, definitely check it out. It's definitely a nice dose of Uncle Walt.
Yeah, no, 100%. I'm gonna check it out. I love everything Walt. I will definitely get to that. The Rogue Attraction, another friend of the channel. We check out Rogue Attraction, by the way.
Yeah,
some great work.
Rogue Attraction.
Yeah, he's a really underrated vlogger. Go check him out.
Yeah, he's definitely great. I remember actually, I forget what month it was. I was down at Walt Disney World, and I was walking through Adventureland, and he actually spotted me. It's like that was like the greatest moment ever that the Rogue Attraction spotted me, and it's like, damn, I guess a lot of people do like this face, It's like,
exactly. Well, you're a sexy dude, George. You're a sexy dude, man. You can't help but do that double take. You know,
you
what I'm
gotta
saying?
do that double take. Yeah.
Bad Thought Studio here says Goofy Sky School is the scariest ride ever. I almost died. Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Before you go with your story, but I remember we were on with Candid and Tones, and Tones' story with Goofy Sky School like literally almost had me pissing my pants because it was just his wording and everything, because he was serious. But a lot of times I laugh at stuff when people are serious. They don't mean to be funny, but it was just how he was putting it. So I mean, it was a great story. But OG, I know you have another story about Goofy Sky School.
No, we have a story. We went to Oogie Boogie Bash. We had a tour guide with us who is literally the best cast member that George and I have ever had an experience with. Her name was Jackie. She's amazing. Cannot give enough kudos to her. She is a friend of ours now. We love Jackie. But we had a fun time on Goofy Sky School with her. We invented what we call the Goofy Sky School Challenge, which is asking each other very, very deep personal questions while you're trying to ride this attraction, which is actually very difficult because it's not as easy as it seems. You should definitely try it next time you ride it. Ask each other, like, what's your 5-year plan? You know, where do you see yourself in 10 years? That kind of stuff while you're riding Goofy Sky School. It's very hard. So, but very fun. We had a blast, absolute blast. We have a lot of comments. Wow. I appreciate all the support, everybody. Thank you so much. Like, seriously.
Yeah, this live is a banger. Like,
this is dude. It's fantastic. I love this. I love to see it. Michael Ebba, OG, have you seen the new Treehouse in person? Or no, you have seen the new Treehouse in person, correct? Give your opinion and review of the new updated Treehouse. Yeah, I have seen it in person. I have not seen it in the night at night yet, though. But I've seen it during the day. It's absolutely gorgeous. I love the fact that they got rid of the second tree, and open up that walkway. It also allows you to kind of get a better look at the treehouse itself when you're walking up. It's a beautiful renovation and kind of reimagining. I think it was a Kim Irvine project, if I'm not mistaken.
I was just going to ask you. I think it was Kim Irvine that helmed the project.
Yeah. So it was. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Now, some people are criticizing the blue lighting at night, and I can see what they're saying with that. It's a little Pandora-ish, but I haven't seen it in person. So unlike a lot of people out there that are going to judge Wish before they see it, I'm going to wait to judge the Treehouse until I see it. I'm going to have an open mind. But yeah, the nighttime stuff that I've seen is a little, I don't know. Okay.
Oh my gosh, that's where it's going. Pandora's going in Adventureland.
There we go. That's where it's going, dude. That's why they put the blue lights in there. Mr. McBeavy here says, hi, everybody. Have you guys heard about the Western River Expedition? Oh, have we?
Yes.
Oh, we have heard of that. I feel like it's the one that got away. Yeah, it really is. Any chance we could see it as part of Disneyland Forward? No, I am familiar with the Western River Expedition. I wish they would have gone through with that. Unfortunately, they didn't. Will we see it at Disneyland? Will we see it at Disneyland, though? No, there's no chance. What do you think? What do you think, fellas?
I think honestly, Disney is kind of going away from that kind of storyline, so to speak. I think, we kind of just skated by with Big Thunder. But I think even in time, not even really knowing what Frontierland's fate really is going to be, at the end, as time moves on. Because again, and I'm not saying that as a bad thing, I'm saying that more just as even Walt said, he was not making a park for it to be like a museum. It's not supposed to be stuck in one time zone. As times go on, so does the parks, So unfortunately, there may be some changes along the way, but I don't. As much as I would love to have seen the Western River Expedition, I think it would have been great. Tony Baxter, phenomenal job on it, even though it never came to fruition. But just looking at that scale model and just Tony Baxter's resume in general, his whole portfolio of what he worked on, from Big Thunder to Indiana Jones. I mean, he was a pioneer Imagineer. He did phenomenal work, and as I said, I would have loved to have seen Western River Expedition, but unfortunately, I don't think that's in the cards of coming to Disneyland Forward.
No. What do you think, Slimer?
Nah, they're not going to utilize space that uneconomically, unfortunately.
No, they're going to do an IP thing. That's why they were in Asia looking at Zootopia and stuff. They're not going to do the Western River Expedition. I mean, that's for us nerds, Mr. McBeavy. But unfortunately, Disney's not going to go there. Unfortunately. Alia here says, excellent point. If she's demoted and she's referring to Jen Lee, that will impact her attitude. They want her in good spirits to work on Frozen 3 Part 1 and Frozen 4 Part 2. Yeah. They don't want her like with a chip on her shoulder. Like, I got demoted. They want her working on things. I think she's safe. I really do, because I don't think it's going to tank on Disney Plus. I think it's going to do really, really well. I think that's part of the problem with the box office right now, is that everyone's waiting for the D Plus release, unfortunately, so. Marty here says Disney Plus should really bring back the Disney Premier Access, the middle ground for $20 in between theater and D Plus streaming. They dropped it with Mulan, but it's been proven to work with the films. Yeah, Marty, I don't know why they dropped that. I actually did it a few times. Actually, I saw Cruella, Raya the Last Dragon, the Mulan live action. I saw a bunch of them like that. Well, I'm not really a theater guy, so $20 to watch at home, a new movie, I'll do it. But what do you think, George? Should they bring that back? I mean, I kind of miss it, but
I mean, it definitely, gave them the money when they needed it at the time. I feel like if they were to bring it back, I think that it's going to hinder the box office more, if that is Disney's route to get people back into the theater. Because I essentially think Disney Premier Access is actually sort of what was the startup of kind of, again, what not necessarily killed the theater, because at the time we had no choice but not to go to the theater, so they had to kind of make up their way to make money, But I feel like that if they were to kind of incorporate it where they let a movie have legs for a certain amount of time in the theater and then kind of transition it into Disney Premier Access, that it's like, okay, now you have the choice to see it in theaters or see it on Disney Plus with the same price that still goes towards the box office, so to speak, then I didn't have a problem with it, because I did too. I did the Disney Premier Access with Cruella and the live action Mulan.
Yeah, I enjoy it. I'm not like a huge theater person, so I'll pay $20 and watch a brand new movie. Absolutely. But what about you, Slimery? Should they bring that back, or maybe not?
No, Marty, that's a good point, and I agree with you. I think that in order for them to try to capitalize on as much revenue as they can, they need to create as many paywalls as they can. If there's no paywalls, then how are they going to capitalize on any sort of money people are willing to put forward and invest into these movies, right? So there's a couple ways they can do this. Obviously, trying to extend the life of these movies in the theater is definitely going to be the first part of the strategy. But secondly, then you want to create that desire and that hunger to see that movie when it comes out on a streaming service, which means putting on a shelf for 3 to 4 months after it comes out of the theater. And then create some kind of a paywall at first, do that for 3 or 4 months, and then drop it, as an included movie with your subscription. But I mean, there's other things they can do, like they can give you the HD version in Dolby Stereo, but then if you want the 4K Dolby Atmos version, you have to pay $14.99 to get it. And I've done that with plenty of films. I mean, when you have a nice TV, and I think everybody, most people these days have pretty nice 4K TVs. I think everybody has a 4K TV now, but when you're watching something in high definition versus when you're watching something in 4K. And I know a lot of people personally who would pay more to get that more premium experience, whether it's better picture quality or better sound quality, because they have nice sound bar and subwoofer in their living room. And if it's a movie that has that kind of an experience, I mean, why wouldn't you pay for it? I mean, I do that all the time.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, 100%. Well said, Slimer. Well said. Kiki and Luca, $9.99. Thank you so much, Kiki and Luca.
Hey, thank you, Kiki.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much for the donation, and I love your little avatar. You're a dog person. We at the OG55 family, we have 2 little dogs here. Dogs are family. We love dogs, so love the little avatar. That's so adorable. Absolutely. Michael Ebba here says, George, our favorite Italiano. This is for you, George. Please talk more about your idea you had on X. Something about how the park should be run separately or something like that. I think it's a good idea. Go ahead, George. I'm not familiar with what he's saying. Will you get a tweet about running the park separately?
Let me see. Please talk more about your idea you had on X. Something, how about the park should be run separately. I'm trying to remember.
what it was?
Give me 1 second, Michael. You got me curious now because I'm trying to remember. It should be run. The park should be
Separately.
run separately.
Or something to that effect.
I'm trying to remember. Do any of you fellas remember? I'm trying to think of running would be run separately. Oh, I know what he's referring to. If you're referring to the parks products and experiences, if that's what you're referring to, Michael, I'm not sure, but I will touch upon that a little bit. I feel like that when they incorporated products into parks, products then became the essential it kind of spearheaded the parks, that it's like you have to, okay, so it's like in order to do the parks you have to have this array of merchandise, and essentially the merchandise suffered for it.
Right.
Because a lot of the times with just speaking of like with Walt Disney World's 50th anniversary and even Disney 100, a lot of the merch was a bit underwhelming, at least for me. I don't know how it is for you fellas, but it just seems like Disney is kind of repeating itself with the merch, but just showcasing different titles, like for Walt Disney World's 50th or Disney 100. I remember when Disney used to have specific Disneyland merch and Walt Disney World used to have specific merch. Now it's just titled overall Disney Parks, and everything
Right.
that you see in Disneyland you can see at Disney World, and vice versa, unless you're getting something specific in the land like for Pandora or Cars Land. But even then there have been times where I guess it was marked on items that I have seen Walt Disney World items at Disneyland and vice versa. So I don't know if it's because they couldn't sell it wherever it initially was, and the marked on third parties didn't want it, so they sent it over to the other coast to see if it would
Wow.
sell. And this is where for me the parks should be the main priority and products should be its main priority, but separate.
Right.
When you infuse them, I felt like products kind of took over what initially they should be really focusing on. The parks should not be all about merch. It should be part of it,
Right.
but I don't think it should be the quintessential headliner of what the parks should be.
One of the issues too, it was Jay Rizzullo years ago with this One Disney initiative where he wanted to kind of, bring all these into like this one kind of like one kind of effort, right? With Disney World, Disneyland, in this one kind of marketing vision, and it doesn't really work. But why they want to do that though is because it's cheaper, right? So when you're printing napkins, for example, with a logo on a napkin, if you print Disney Parks on that napkin, well, those napkins now can go to either resort. Mm-hmm. You print bags, plastic bags that say Disney Parks on them. You can ship that out to Florida or Anaheim. It doesn't matter. You put Disneyland Resort on there, you're stuck in Anaheim. So It's a cost-saving measure. I really, really don't like it either. I wish they would change that back. Unfortunately, I think we're kind of stuck with it. What do you think, Slimer? What's your take on this, brother?
I think I'm gonna push back on this a little bit. I think that a healthy degree of synergy is necessary in order for the merchandising and the park experience to actually work. Right. So one thing that the parks are looking at, and if the line item revenue is going towards park overall revenue, then you have to remember that these people are looking at how much ROI they can generate based off of square feet and square area. Right. So they're trying to maximize as much revenue as possible for every square area or square foot of that entire store, right? So like let's take World of Disney, for example, over at Disney Springs. World of Disney is a really unique store in that you can pretty much find everything that they have in the parks in there. It is highly compartmentalized, and anything in Adventureland or Tomorrowland or Main Street USA pretty much exists there, right? So these are going to be for the people that missed that one thing in Emporium on Main Street USA, but now they're in Disney Springs and they see and they go, there's that one thing that I want. And then they have that second opportunity to go ahead and buy that. So they create redundancies deliberately so people can buy that one thing that they think is going to make this experience more memorable for them if they have the opportunity to take this nice little memento home. But the other way to look at it too, Michael, this was Michael that asked that,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, Michael, is that if the revenue from the merchandise is going towards the parks, and that means that you're going to have a higher likelihood of getting the attractions and the better customer service and the more cast members, right? And all these things that we really enjoy that are associated with the Disney parks, then you can't be against more merchandise in the store. You can only be for higher quality merchandise in the store, which is going to require more R&D. It's going to require more merchandise per square foot or per square area. And it's going to require a lot more synergy between the parks and the merchandise. So they really have to work hand in hand. How much how much merchandise they decide is in there or not. I think that's always in flux and it's always a moving.
Well, and actually, I do agree with you, Slimer, on that. My issue is I wish Disney did that of what you just explained, because it feels like that the merch is very lackluster right now. At least to me, it feels like when it was separate, that's because they were focusing specifically. They had their own entity, so to speak, to kind of just focus on the consumer, but still have it tied into the parks. My thing is when they have parks and consumers where it's kind of like intertwining and it's meshing and it's like no one really knows what direction to go. And I do agree with you. It really should be put into the perspective to put back into the park. But yet I'm not seeing Disney unfortunately do that with the products, because to me it all looks the same. I mean, that's just me. As I said, I do agree with you. I just wish Disney would do it.
I think what they also try to do is they try to rotate merchandise on a quarterly basis as well. So you can go in March, you can go in August, and you can see a completely different subset of categories of merchandise within specific locations within the lands and within those general stores like World of Disney and Disney Springs as well. So right now, it's very heavy. It's heavily focusing on the holidays, right? So they're going to come out with, like you said, OG, a very generic swath of Christmas merchandise that doesn't necessarily tie into any one specific animation or any one specific land, but you can get it anywhere as this like nice little Christmas memento. And I'll tell you, it really works. Like I bought my wife a Minnie Mouse. What do you call those? Cardigan, yeah, cardigan. I always forget that word. Freaking word, cardigan. Who named the sweater a cardigan? It's a fancy sweater, all right. You don't have to create this word cardigan for it. Okay. Anyways, I bought her Minnie Mouse cardigan. It's plush. It's cute, right? But those are the kinds of things that are completely generic. But man, I'll tell you, people love that stuff, including myself, George. I'll be honest with you. Like, it doesn't even have to be anything specifically associated with a ride. Like, I don't have to get merch and memento mori in order for me to enjoy things like that. A lot of people really like just cute things that are comfortable, they could take home. They don't have anything to do with any ride specifically, but I don't know. Like, I'm really interested to see what people buy more of. That's something I really like to see, George.
I'm actually buying
general.
Yeah, I'm curious. Yeah, I'm curious myself. And I just want to make it not necessarily it has to be about a ride. I just feel like that the quality of the merch just seems like it's. I'm trying to like put it in a way where it's like it just seems like it's the same merch, but they're just kind of reskinning it. Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Oh no, for sure, man. Yeah, you know what it is they look to see what sold last quarter, last year, and they say, oh man, backpacks. We can't stop selling them. Yeah. All right, guys, come up with 20 different backpacks for the rest of the year because we're gonna sell a shit ton of these suckers.
I will say, Slimer, one of my favorite stores actually in Magic Kingdom is Ye Old Christmas Shop. Mm-hmm. I love that shop. I mean, because you could go in there year round and you could find a bunch of Christmas and holiday decor. And I do now those type of like ornaments. I actually enjoy. They have like a slew full of ornaments. They have different decorations and the fragrance. As soon as you walk in, it has like that wintry pine type of fragrance. I do enjoy that store, but I do get your point. I definitely do. And as I said, I feel like more so Disney did that, of course, to kind of capitalize. That as consumer products come in, merch is sold, it gets added to the parks. I just wish that Disney would then turn that profit around and put it back into the parks in a substantial way. That's what I wish.
They probably put it into R&D for new merchandise, if I had to guess. all that money that goes into designing the next 20 backpacks and the next 20 cardigans and the next the Christmas line for this. What are we going to do this year that's different for Christmas? Every year they got to come out with a new Christmas line, or it's a never ending thing, man. This thing is going to go on way past our death.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
But Michael, I have to say thank you so much for the question. I really appreciate it. Thank you for actually taking something that I had wrote on X and remembering it, because at first I didn't. So kudos to you, brother.
That's a really thought-provoking one. I like that question.
Yeah, again, Michael's great. We love Michael. He continues here with another great question. Does it bother anyone on this panel that Ariel's, the Little Mermaid ride, is in DCA, not in Fantasyland at DL? What do you think, Slimer? I'll let you start off, Slimer. What do you think?
Okay, so my question to you guys is why does it belong in DCA?
It doesn't. It bothers me since the damn thing opened.
Really?
Yes.
I go ahead and I'll give you my take on it.
Okay. So here's my thing. Okay. Let me back it up a little bit. Maybe not right as it opened, because it had like that seaside shore type of pier before it became Pixar Pier. So I'll say that I was okay with it when it was still Paradise Pier. Wow, that sounds weird. Like I haven't said that in like so long, Paradise Pier, because I'm so used to saying Pixar Pier. When it transitioned into Pixar Pier, that's where it started. It started losing it for me, because then you have the Little Mermaid kind of on the opposite end where the pier is. It's just kind of sitting by itself. It's not tied to anything. It's not adjacent to anything. It's kind of there. It is a great ride. I'm not saying it's a great ride. I wish that they would fix it, so, the animatronics at times, particularly Ariel, is actually working. But I digress. It's a great ride, but I feel like now, being that that's more heavily for Pixar, I would just literally turn that whole entire loop. Even with the Paradise Gardens, and yes, I know I said it, OG, I'm going to be a hypocrite. Keep the ride of not necessarily Goofy Sky School, but keep the ride system, but just kind of retheme it. I would love to see that building again, and we talked about it again. Turn it into Coco.
Yeah,
I would love to see that ride. Put Ariel over in Disneyland, because I feel like Ariel is more aesthetically fit for Disneyland than DCA right now. It worked well when it was Paradise Pier, but with Pixar Pier, I would just love to see that whole become a Coco dark ride or a Coco boat ride or what have you. And I mean, as far as the queue, and like it's already a mess by them adding that ride onto Disney Plus. Like I don't even know why.
Genie Plus.
What I say? Oh, I said Disney Plus. Genie Plus. Excuse me. Genie Plus. It wasn't a ride that needed to be added to Genie Plus. I don't know why they did it. And aesthetically, as far as the queue, I enjoy Florida's better, because it's designed like Prince Eric's Castle.
Right.
You go through it, you see Scuttle in the queue area, and I just think that area would be more utilized better as Coco right now than Ariel.
Okay, so here's the thing. We're not too far off in our opinions, George. I agree with you. I think that Little Mermaid for me, it fits a seaside pier. It's an ocean themed franchise, right? It's about fish and mermaids. It fits the pier, totally. Where they kind of got off the beaten path, though, I agree with you, is once it became Pixar Pier.
Yeah. And
Mermaid is not a Pixar movie. Now you're getting into a little weirdness, Mermaids fit on an ocean themed land. It does, but now it's not just an ocean themed land, it's Pixar. So that's where it becomes weird. My issue too is if they're going to remove it, if they're going to turn that ride into Coco, which again, I am advocating for Coco to come into DCA, but if they're going to remove Little Mermaid, which holds a special place in my heart, number one, for what it did for the company. Number two, I love Howard Ashman.
Yep.
You have to promise me that it will go into Disneyland then, because I don't want to just lose a mermaid ride. It took us 30 years to get one. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So if you're gonna get rid of it, it has to go into Disneyland then, you know?
Yeah, and I do want to make that very clear. When I say get rid of it there, I don't mean get rid of it completely. Just get rid of it where its location is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. What do you yeah, so Slimer, do you think that, like, is it weird to you that it's not like on a pier, or is it like
it's what it seems like the common thread through DC is that you have to do a lot of mental gymnastics for rides that either exist or will be existing in that park, and that this is not an exception. I don't know. Yeah, it seems weird at the outset. I guess I'd have to see it to really wrap my head around it.
Yeah.
Voyage of the Little Mermaid is in fantasy land here, although they kind of threw it in the back of Fantasyland where 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea is. I'm not a big fan of the Little Mermaid ride, to be honest with you. I think that the Little Mermaid as an IP is really dying in the parks. That movie came out in 1989, and I don't think a lot of people even remember the animated film. It doesn't hold a lot of people here, even though it's an Omni mover. It doesn't. It's got like a 45 minute wait time on average. So it doesn't have a big pool. It takes up a lot of space over here. I still wish they had 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, even though that thing was a freaking, an engineering nightmare to maintain and keep, well maintained. But I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the ride, to be honest with you. I'm glad you guys are. I mean, I wish I could enjoy that ride as much as you guys do, but I deliberately skirt that ride every time I'm in Fantasyland.
That's fair.
Well,
That's
now
fair.
I know what ride we're going to go on when I come down there.
Well, see, for me, Little Mermaid 2 is kind of like, it's almost like we don't have a people mover, like People Mover was a chill ride when you're tired, and you can just get on that thing. Little Mermaid was kind of like that, where it's like you can get on it, you get the air conditioning. There's usually no line, so if we had a people mover, it'd be, that would fill that kind of void. So yeah, interesting points though, Slimer. Thank you for that, brother. Yeah, you're right. The attraction, I don't know. Some of the animatronics are weird. I will say that. The Ariel especially, like with her mouth and
hashtag Bride of Chucky.
Yeah, exactly. Bride of Chucky. That's exactly it.
Yeah, that's good.
There you go. There we go. Kiki and Luca says here, I couldn't send a super chat, so I had to send a super sticker. Okay, so Kiki and Luca, that's weird. I don't know what's going on. It might be a YouTube thing. That's strange. I'm sorry to hear that, but thank you for the super sticker. I don't know what's going on with that. Sometimes YouTube is really strange where they'll like flag certain words. So if there's like a cuss word in there, or if there's certain words, sometimes they kick it back for some reason. I've had the same issue with sending a super chat to content creators that I watch too. So a little wonky, but I appreciate you going through the effort to send the super sticker.
Definitely.
That means a lot. Yeah,
because that'll definitely help with my Carl's Jr. habit. So
yeah, exactly. Exactly. And BJ Vincent here says, how would you feel about a live action version of the movie The Black Cauldron, and who would you want to direct it? For example, maybe Guillermo del Toro to direct it, written by David Goyer. Yeah, we talked about that a little earlier, BJ. Like, that would be dope. Like, a lot of these movies that didn't do well in theaters, you can do them in live action and give them a second chance at life. Black Cauldron would be a dope live action movie.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I'd be down for that. Guillermo is a great choice for it too.
Yeah.
So
yeah, basically what he said is that would be a perfect match, perfect fit.
Yeah. You crushed it with that, BJ. That's exactly what we would want. The problem is that's not the point of the live action movies, right? The point isn't to do what makes sense. The point is to milk a successful franchise. So that's not a successful franchise. So there's no point. From Disney's perspective, I'm saying, what I'm saying? Right. They're trying to milk the popular stuff. So that didn't do well initially. So they're never going to do that. Unfortunately, really, really unfortunately. Let me see here. I'm trying to get through some of these questions. Oh, okay. We can touch upon this. Okay. Michael Meets Mouse. So Dre, he is no longer, no secret, he is no longer on OG55. He actually went over to That Park Place and WDW Pro. So he's a full-time contributor over there at their channel. Or it's That Park Place. He does work with them. So he is no longer a contributor here on OG55. We wish him the best. I think he's doing well over there. So yeah, that's what happened to him. He's no longer on this channel. If you are a fan of Dre, you can check him out over at That Park Place. George, would you like to add anything?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Moving on. BJ Vincent, we know OG, you are a fan of Blackpink. Are there any other bands, other genres, example rock, rap, pop, etc., that you, George and Slimer, enjoy? Yeah, well,
good question. Very good.
Yeah,
question.
great one. Very different. I like it. Yeah, no, I'm a huge Blackpink fan. Recently, too, I discovered them actually through a friend of the channel, Theme Park Wizard. Love Blackpink, and it kind of got me into K-pop even. I like there's another group called aespa that has a song right now called Drama, which is an absolute banger. You got to check that song out. There's a lot of K-pop groups. The production value with K-pop is out of control. I can see why it's kind of taken over the world because they do amazing stuff with K-pop. Blackpink is no exception. They're absolutely fantastic. But in terms of other music, I typically, growing up, I've always been into hip hop and rap. I listen to, Jay-Z, Biggie, Tupac, Jadakiss, Mobb Deep. Yeah, I like.
You should be rapping it now. You should be rapping it now, OG.
You know what I'm saying? Fabulous. I like rap a lot, which is actually kind of why I got into Blackpink. Because at first I thought, oh, Blackpink, it's like a K-pop group. It's going to be like Taylor Swift, but like in Korean. No, thanks. I was like, wait a minute. I listened to them and they actually have a lot of rap in these songs. I'm like, these girls are dope. Like, what's going on with Blackpink? Yeah.
Taylor Swift in Korean.
That's what I thought it would be. I thought it'd be like this very like, I don't know.
Great.
Blackpink was totally different than I thought it was going to be. But yeah, I'm a hip hop person. I like R&B too, though. Like some of the older people watching, like SWV, Keith Sweat, New Edition. I like all of that too. So that's kind of like my genres. I never got into rock though, man. It never resonated with me, dude. I don't know what it is about it. What about you, George?
So here's the funny thing with me. I don't necessarily have a favorite genre. Like there are rock songs that I can't stand, but there's also rock songs that I like. There's R&B songs that I like, and there's R&B songs I can't stand. I'm very eclectic when it comes to music. I love various different artists. I love various different styles of music. You touched upon a few, OG. I love New Edition. I love Nickelback. I love Van Halen. Going through. And then I even love like the older kind of generation. Like I love Sam Cooke. I love Frank Sinatra.
Oh,
like
Frank.
I'll listen. Yes.
Like a
Old
true
blue
Italian,
eyes,
man.
Old blue eyes. I love. I love different various. Michael Bublé. I love listening to just different various. It just depends on if the song calls to me. Like if it has a good beat, if it has a good message, if it has a good vocal tone, I'll listen to it. I'll give it a shot.
Nice. Okay, you have a very eclectic kind of mix there. That's cool. Slimer, favorite music genres. What are you into, man?
BJ, hey, good to see you, man. Thanks for stopping in tonight. Yeah, I'm kind of George. I'm kind of everywhere, man. Like, I growing up, I was definitely into rap. I listen to all those guys that OG listening, man. I can listen to those all day long, man. I love old school rap, new school rap. I don't like mumble rap, man. I really like, I like the MCs that really enunciate the words, that put a lot of thought into their lyrics, man. I mean, that's the generation I came from, all the way back from, shoot, dude. KRS-One, Run DMC, Mobb Deep, Nas, Wu-Tang Clan, Capadonna. You had the best. Yeah, these guys are the best MCs, man. So I like rap. I don't listen to a lot these days. These days, I'm mainly listening to probably blues more than anything. It just fits a lot of my mood nowadays. Just I'm getting old, so blues is kind of right there with me with a 54 beat per minute heartbeat. So there's a really cool band I picked up recently called GA20. I want to say they're out of Mississippi or I don't know where they're out of, but a really cool blues band. They're really old school. I like listening to I like listening to Tool. I like listening to Johnny Cash. I like listening to Kenny Rogers. I can listen to, like I said, I can listen to rap. So I'm kind of everywhere, BJ. It just depends on the mood.
You remember that? And since you're a rap guy, Slimer, I'll pick your brain a little bit. You know Wu-Tang, right?
Yeah.
That dude, I love that song they did, Triumph.
Oh, of course. Yeah, Triumph is great.
Oh man, I still remember
Yeah.
it too. I could do a little bit for you right now. You know, George, you asked me to rap. You
Go
ready?
for it. Go for it,
Yeah,
bro.
let's hear it.
Here we go. I bomb atomically. Socrates' philosophies and hypotheses can't define. Will I be dropping these lyrically perform
Oh,
armed
yeah.
robbery?
Yeah, dude.
There you
we
go,
Little
OG.
bit.
Bars, man, bars. Awesome. I love
Yeah,
it.
you know, spitting those bars, you know. Yeah, but no,
Yeah.
there's some good stuff out there. Absolutely, you know. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I also love Disney music. You know, I'm a huge Disney music person. I love like the Renaissance era has amazing songs. You know, the old school Disney stuff too. Yeah, there's a lot of great stuff out there. The only music, yeah, like rock. I never really got into rock. Country, never got into country. I don't know.
You'd
Well,
probably
especially
like
well,
that-
you know me and my favorite OG is Tim McGraw. I think you got you got a first hand on that when we went on Goofy Sky School.
Yeah, we asked him what kind of music he liked. I think it was Jackie who asked you
It was
that. And
Jackie. Yeah.
we were right before the drop. He said Tim, and as we're going down, he goes McGraw.
McGraw.
That was funny, George.
OG, we could probably get you into like old country, man, like Hank Williams, Kenny
Yeah.
Rogers, the old OGs, Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's where I kind of like to float when it comes to country. I don't listen to a lot of new country either, man. Like
I
can
don't
do
either.
I can do Gary Allen. That's like as new as I listen to when it comes to country.
Yeah.
So
Interesting. Yeah, Johnny Cash. I had a buddy I used to work with. Shout out to Albert.
good old Al.
Albert.
Hey, wow. Hashtag random. Wasn't
Yeah.
expected that one.
he loved Johnny Cash, and yeah.
Hell yeah.
Oh man, funny stuff. Oh dude. Oh man. Oh wait, hold on one sec. We got some other music. We got some other music stuff in here. Kiki and Lucas says I have Michael Bublé's tour worn signed tie.
Wow.
Nice.
Wow,
Nice.
That is pretty cool, Kiki and Luca. Very, very cool. Michael Ebba says, do you guys listen to score music from movies or music from anime or video games? Absolutely.
Yes.
Man.
That's
Absolutely.
hmm
Yeah. No,
Definitely.
actually, you know what? I don't know the name of the land, but it's it's the Island of Adventure, that the land you first walk into. I don't know the name of it. But I actually
the Lost
have
Continent.
I don't know, I think it's something else.
No.
The very first thing you walk into, it looks kind of like this weird kind of Adventureland thing.
At Iowa.
I don't. Yeah, on the
Oh,
adventure.
so it's like right. Oh, I know what you mean. That the area right before you get to the Lost Continent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the music is filled with gong sounds, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have it on my computer. I listen to that all the time. I love it. Listen to like the background music for Grizzly Peak. Very tranquil, very, very cool. But yeah, I mean, that kind of stuff. What about you, Slimer? You dip into that, like score music and music from the movies or music that Albert likes, anything like that?
There's a really cool YouTube channel called what was it called? Theme Park. What is it? I'll send it to you, Mike. I'll put it in the comments. But
Okay.
oh, it's called Ambient. It was an Ambient Theme Park. I'll send it to you in the comments, brother. But essentially, it's a YouTube channel that plays nothing but the background music for all the different lands, seasons, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's pretty cool. But I don't listen to soundtracks or anything like that. I mean, I've had a couple soundtracks, but I don't go out of my way to listen to them. I mean, I do understand the cognitive tickle that classical music gives you versus rock and rap. I completely understand that because I do listen to classical music every now and then, but
Right.
no, I don't listen to movie themes or movie soundtracks.
What about you, George? Any movie soundtracks? Anything?
Yeah, I mean, I love to listen. A lot of times, I tend to focus on listening to the score while a movie is playing. A lot of times, a lot of people don't know, that the film score is playing in certain scenes of a movie, and sometimes I kind of, listen to that. So then when I go back to find the movie soundtrack, I just listen nothing but the score. John Williams. I love listening to any kind of score of John Williams.
Sure.
Like that is just, I mean, he's a music legend in the industry, and he's still going. He's still kicking into his 90s, and I say, more power to him.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, there's some great soundtracks out there, some scores I love, Disney musical songs. Now I'm losing a lot of my rap street cred with all this, right? With all listening to musicals. But hey, that's what I listen to. K-pop, hip hop, and Disney music. What can you do?
With the exception of Albert.
Yeah, Albert. Yeah, Albert is a Johnny Cash guy. Cash guy. And he was cool, man. Albert is, I gotta reach out. He was, he was a cool guy.
Albert, we were just talking about you the other day.
Yeah.
Albert.
You have to tell him, because I would love, honestly, to have him like watch one of our live shows or join it into the live show.
Yeah.
That would be freaking awesome.
Oh, dude, that'd be so funny if we have Albert on, dude.
I don't even know the guy, and I already like him. Like, this is great.
He's great, man. He's fantastic. Seymour Duck, friend of the channel. Welcome, Seymour. He says, I sure love Nintendo music, especially the ones from Mario. That's pretty cool. Yeah, video game music is very iconic, dude. Like, especially like the Mario stuff is super iconic. Yeah. Zelda as well. The music from Zelda.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty cool. Interesting choice. Absolutely. Let me see here. It says John Williams is the GOAT. I mean, come on. Yeah. I mean, who's doing it like John Williams? Let's be honest. I mean, this guy.
I mean, he's probably the best composer of the 20th century. Whether it's whether you want to consider it, scores for films or just classic music in general.
Another person, and OG helped me because I know I'm going to butcher his last name. Michael. He does the score for
Giacchino.
That's it.
Something like that. Okay.
Yeah, I love his score for music too. His for Up, and he did other ones too. I forget at the moment, but I mean he's another great composer.
Absolutely. And we're still kind of in the realm of music. It says here, what's your guys' best and worst nighttime spectacular in terms of music or show itself? Interesting, man.
I currently know what my worst one is right now, unfortunately.
What is it? What's your worst one?
Well, my worst one, unfortunately, is World of Color 1.
Oh, okay. That's your worst one, really?
That's my worst one. I just could not get into it. I do apologize for everyone listening.
Your dog actually agrees with you.
He agrees with me. Yes. I love World of Color. I love it, but I've watched World of Color 1 twice already. I love what they were trying to do. I appreciate what they were trying to do.
Right.
But it loses in translation with me, especially when they started adding Marvel and Star Wars into it. It was just all over the place for me.
Okay. My best one, there's actually two. I think the original Fantasmic
I agree.
was the GOAT, and also Wondrous Journeys. I just love that show. I hope it comes back. And shout out to Christopher Lenertz on that one, because him and his team did an amazing job on that one. The worst, oh man, it's a tough. Nighttime Spectacular, the worst. Oh man, I don't even know, dude.
Which, by the way, OG, I actually agree with you. My best would be the original Disneyland's Fantasmic.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think, Slimer? Best and worst?
Fantasmic is the GOAT. Always has been, always will be. As far as the worst, I don't know, man. I mean, that's like you're picking the lesser of the shows you really enjoy. So
yeah,
you know what I mean.
It's harder. I mean, Light Magic was pretty bad out here. I mean, the music was good though. That's the thing with Light Magic. The music was actually a banger soundtrack, but the show wasn't that great.
I didn't like Harmonious.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, oh shoot. Okay.
It was too heavily IP driven. Like I don't want that in Epcot. I just don't.
See,
You know
that's
what
why I
mean?
said World of Color 1 was my worst. See, I completely erased Harmonious from my memory.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
exactly. Marty Snyder, 2.5
2.5
hours. Who
hours.
has to pee? Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually went while we were talking. No, I was kidding.
I mean, for a bunch of old farts, we have bladders of gods, right?
We
Yes,
do,
it's
man.
like
We do.
it's like, and actually, speaking of Marty, he actually made a comment before. I don't know what we were talking about, and he said, "I love listening to George talk. Feel at home in Pittsburgh." I assuming Marty's referring to, I guess, like my Pittsburghese accent, and it's kind of funny that way because I could bump into people that I don't even know from a different
Right.
state, and they'll know that I'm from Pittsburgh.
You
I
have
think
the
it's so
accent.
funny. I think
You
it's
have
so
the
funny.
accent for sure. Absolutely. Do I have a California accent? Because I'm in California, so I don't even know if we have an accent. Nothing.
No,
Nothing.
no.
Wow, that's weird.
But when I saw you on your first video,
You
like
knew
you
it
had
was
that
California.
that surfer's tan, you had your iconic hair, and I was like, dude, he got to be a Californian.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. California, born and raised. Now, BJ's comment will be the last one we take tonight. These gentlemen are 3 hours ahead. So we're gonna wrap it up. But BJ here says, I also am everywhere when it comes to music. I grew up listening to funk groups like Parliament, to score music, rock music like Shinetown, and anime composers like AOT's Hiroyuki Sawano. Wow, BJ, you are all over the map. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, man. Yeah, there's a lot of cool music out there. It's fun. It's fun. But yeah, I mean, I'm actually glad that you guys brought up music because it's not something that we usually talk about on the show. So it was kind of cool to kind of dive into that a little bit, you know? So
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but I want to thank oh, go ahead, George. I'm sorry.
Oh no. Actually, you were just gonna just say. I was just gonna say, what a phenomenal show! It was
Oh,
a
dude.
banger live show. I appreciate everybody that came in, tuned in, stuck with us for almost 3 hours. That's some damn good commitment right there. I really have to say, and honestly, we really appreciate it. I mean, just having you
Yes.
guys in the chat, having the conversation with us, driving the show is just phenomenal. And honestly, it's a very it's a very humbling experience to know that we have this community that just go along with us, and it's, you know, we have our OG55 crew here, our OG55 family, and I'm just glad to be a part of it.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Yeah, everyone in the chat, thank you so much. And the gentleman on the panel, thank you as well. Just a really, really fun time. I put Slimer's Twitter up here again because he is new to Twitter. So follow him on Twitter, SlimeSquare84. Follow this man on Twitter. But let's go ahead and close out the show. Slimer, well, they can find you right there.
You can find me right there at SlimesCore84. Go ahead and follow me if you haven't followed me yet. I'm going to go ahead and echo everything George has said. Thanks very much for having us on. Thank you guys in the chats for leading the conversation. We really like it. It's fun. It keeps us entertained. It keeps us guessing as to what the next question is going to be. And I certainly do like that myself. But if you haven't hit like yet, please go ahead and hit like. That's how you support the channel. That's how you let us know that what we're saying and doing here is what you guys like to hear and say. Leave a comment in the chat afterwards if you'd like to. Michael, I'm sure you have something else to say. I know you do, my man. Everybody who has been everybody who's in the OG family of the chats, thanks for being here tonight. We really appreciate your support. And yeah, that's all I got for you.
Yeah, no, well said, brother. Well said, George. Any final thoughts? Anything about swinging her bats or anything like that?
Yeah. I will say, as I said, I love the interaction with all of you. I love your questions. You know, you know, it's, you guys are real, and that's, I love, you know, interacting with real people. And you know, you'll definitely know when I'm in the parks, either at Disneyland or at Walt Disney World. You know, when you follow me, if you know that I'm there and you're there at the same time, please let me know. We'll go have a Ronto wrap, you know, or what have you. So, I mean, I definitely, you know, if you see me in the parks, which I have already had several people approach me since being on Orange Grove 55, including a cast member at Disneyland, which I thought was very awesome, to say the least. And so don't be shy. You see us, you know, come up, say hi. We love the interaction. And as I said, it was a great show.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And thank you all so much for watching. Comment down below with all your thoughts on everything we talked about today. And how are we going to close out today, fellas? We want to do Carl's Jr., Drunk Chewy. I don't know. What are you feeling?
Slimer, you choose. What do you think?
Family
what
Guy?
was let's do Carl's Jr.
Okay, we'll do Carl's. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye, everybody.